Chapter 12-17. Jun Changshao learned from Shang Yuhen that there were 9 levels of hell in the interstellar fortress. They were similar to the prison he created, and each level held prisoners of different strengths. It was not important who he used as a reference. What was important was what did the interstellar fortress think of him as? That it could imprison martial artists from the mortal plane at will? I heard that the interstellar fortress is related to the higher realm, Shang Yuhen said. Higher realm. Jun Changshao thought of the enforcer bow that he had obtained earlier. It could shoot arrows of punishment by pulling the bowstring. The twin ghosts of black and white said that it came from the higher realm, and only the Jia Hall had it. Now that the interstellar fortress was related to it, could it be that the higher realm ordered it to be a prison built in the mortal plane, to imprison all kinds of creatures that violated the rules? That's possible, the system agreed. Jun Changshao rubbed his chin and said, if that's the case, doesn't that mean the interstellar fortress has the higher realm as its backer? I'm a little scared. Being scared is not the host's personality. If the heavens bully you, then go against them, the system said. Scram. Jun Chang smiled and said, don't stand here and make sarcastic remarks. He only wanted to complete the main quest now. If the conditions allowed, going to the higher realm to take a look was not a bad idea. As for going against the heavens, he had to think twice before doing so. After all, it was not a joke. Of course, Gosheng remembered the Jia Hall, because the punishments and sanctions that he had to endure on the battlefield had to be approved by this department before they could be implemented. Damn it! Thinking of the old and new grudges, Jun Changshao clenched his fists and said angrily, when I ascend, I'll definitely overturn the Jia Hall. The seed of hatred that was buried in her heart had already grown to the point where the tip of a small lotus flower had just emerged. Jun Changshao asked Shang Yuhen about the strength of the Shang dynasty's ancestor, and which level of hell he was imprisoned in. In the end, the answer he received was that he did not know. If you don't know anything, how are you going to ransom him? Get resources. Can the prisoners be ransomed? According to the rules of the interstellar fortress, as long as you pay enough resources, you can release him for a certain period of time. However, he will still be imprisoned in the end. Jun Changshao said, interesting. The person still had to be locked up. At most, they would be bailed out for a period of time with money. It could be used repeatedly. His own prison could also implement this model. The system complained, I'm just afraid that after receiving the ransom, the criminals will run to the ends of the earth, and we won't be able to catch them. Jun Changshao said, that's why we still need to wait until we have absolute strength before we can implement it. Don't worry. He patted Shang Yuhen's shoulder and said, since I've taken your money, I will bring you safely to the interstellar fortress. Thank you, Brother Jun. Swish, the ancient warship advanced at full speed, leaving behind a faint trail of light wherever it passed. Jun Changshao had completely given up on the idea of exploring other planes after accepting the money from the fallen prince. He focused all his attention on the journey to the Starry Sky Fortress. Of course, his interest in the 9 hells was piqued. Tianyuan Prison Pagoda had just been built, so there were not many prisoners in there. The 9 hells had existed for a long time, so there should be many prisoners from other planes. How strong were they as a whole? If, Jun Changshao thought, all the prisoners in the 9 hells are released, will the fortress master's mind explode on the spot? I don't know if his mind will explode or not, but I know that it will be a very scary thing. The system said. The Starry Sky Fortress's strength could be seen from the 2 investigations they had sent out. The prisoners locked up in the 9 hells were definitely not ordinary people. Releasing them would be tantamount to a disaster. If the fortress master doesn't let me go, I'll just break the 9 hells. Jun Changshao said calmly. The system said, that's a bit too much. Of course. Jun Changshao narrowed his eyes and said, I can also transfer all the prisoners to Tianyuan Prison Pagoda. The system broke down. That's a very bold idea. No matter what, Gosheng already had his eyes on the 9 hells. If the situation allowed, he would definitely do something. There were many meteorites in the universe. They slowly gathered together, forming a special existence similar to the Milky Way. Of course, it could also be described as a garbage dump, because not only were there rocks, there were also fragments and bones. At this moment, the ancient warship was traveling at a low speed in the garbage dump. Because the Milky Way covered a large area, Jun Changshao could not choose to take a detour. He could only carefully move through it. Brother Jun, Shang Yuhen said worriedly. It's easy to be ambushed in this garbage dump. As soon as he said that, the ancient warship went around a few giant meteorites. In front of the pile of rocks, there were several warships floating quietly, full of fully armed black armored martial artists. Jun Changshao said helplessly, You really have a crow's mouth. Shang Yuhen smiled bitterly, but his eyes were filled with endless anger. Because the black armored martial artists on the warships were his enemies. His home was gone. His family was gone. Why are they still not letting me go, and still want to kill me? Your Highness. The middle-aged leader standing at the bow of the warship smiled and said, Quickly go to the Yellow Springs and meet your father. Kacha. Shang Yuhen clenched his fists, unable to suppress his anger. Of course. The middle-aged man said again. If you know what's good for you, hand over the great Shang's treasure. Perhaps you can avoid death. Shang Yuhen's eyes were about to split open. The great Shang's treasure is the blood and sweat of my ancestors. How can I hand it over to you ugly demons? Kikik. The middle-aged man laughed strangely. Since you don't want to cooperate, then die. After saying that, he looked at Jun Changshao and said disdainfully, Brat, you dare to help us hunt prey. You must be tired of living. I thought you were treating me as if I didn't exist. Jun Changshao shrugged. The middle-aged man said indifferently, It doesn't matter if you exist or not, because you will soon cease to exist. You want to kill me? Jun Changshao asked. The middle-aged man was amused by his words, because this question was simply too stupid. General, one of his subordinates whispered, This guy's warship is not bad. The middle-aged man had already noticed this and said indifferently, Be careful when you attack. Don't damage the warship. This general still needs to drive it back. Yes, everyone shouted. The middle-aged man pointed at Jun Changshao and said, Hurry up and get out. From the moment this guy appeared until now, he had not looked at Jun Changshao at all. He was simply arrogant to the extreme. All right. Jun Changshao tapped his feet and flew out of the ancient battlefield, because the area where the meteorites gathered also had a planar system. The feeling of being torn apart by the power of the universe was not very obvious. With his strength, he could easily deal with it. Brother Jun, Shang Yuhen shouted. There was still a chance to escape on the warship, but if he flew down like this, he would definitely be surrounded. Quite cooperative. The middle-aged man waved his hand. Whoosh, whoosh. The 1,000 black armored cultivators on the warship flew out, and then burst out with their cultivation. They split into two groups and charged at Jun Changshao and Shang Yuhen. They wanted to kill. They also wanted to take away the ancient warship. Chapter 12:18. Plop. At the edge of the garbage dump, the middle-aged leader stood on a meteorite. His legs went soft and he fell to the ground. There was a huge hole in his chest. Wah! He spat out a mouthful of blood. His eyes were wide open in disbelief. It was clear that it had been bombarded. From the only wound, he should have been attacked only once. The middle-aged man's strength was not inferior to any of the 5 tyrants. He was also wearing an armor that was not inferior to the battlefield specter. In the end, his chest was pierced through. However, the camera zoomed out. The river-like garbage dump showed a huge empty area that extended towards the meteorite where the middle-aged man was. There was not even a grain of sand in it. It also contained energy that had not completely dissipated. It felt like a raging river that was cut in half by a terrifying force. On the other side of the empty area, the ancient warship was quietly suspended in the air. Shang Yuhen, who was standing on the deck, was dumbstruck. In the end, he could not support himself and fell to the ground. His heart was in turmoil. As the only witness, he swore that he had never seen anything like this before. It would be unforgettable, because Brother Jun had punched the black-armored martial artists when they rushed over. It was very plain. It felt like he had casually thrown it out. However, such a simple and unadorned punch actually contained a terrifying strength. Not only did it kill the thousands of black-armored martial artists, but it also directly destroyed the warship. The captain of the warship was even sent flying away, revealing the scene that was before everyone's eyes. Shang Yuhen was dumbfounded. He had guessed that Brother Jun was very strong from the ancient warship, but he did not expect him to be so strong. He could actually kill a lower-level space-breaking realm expert with one punch. Middle level. Shang Yuhen was shocked. Brother Jun must be middle level. The strongest realm in the Falling Star continent was Martial Emperor. However, there was no detailed division of the realms. In fact, in the mortal world's martial arts system, this realm was classified as Space-Breaking Realm. It was called Space-Breaking Realm, or Space-Breaking Realm. Space-Breaking Realm had a very clear division of the realms. They were lower level, middle level, and upper level. Before the Night Emperor fell, he belonged to the lower level Space-Breaking Realm. Experts of this level had a very good understanding of the heaven and earth attribute and the power of space. They were completely uncontrollable in the universe. To put it bluntly, they had already broken free from the shackles of the continent. As for ascending to the upper realm, he needed to comprehend the power of the universe. This kind of power was higher than the heaven and earth attribute of the continent, and could only be comprehended after reaching the lower void-piercing realm. When an elite cultivator comprehended the power of the universe, it was equivalent to stepping into the middle level of the void-piercing realm, and already had the qualifications to ascend to the upper realm. Of course, the middle level of the void-piercing tier was also considered to be in a hurry to throw away one's life. After reaching this level, many people would choose to ascend, but in the end, they would fail and die. According to the statistics of the relevant departments, the success rate of a middle void-piercing realm cultivator ascending to the upper realm was less than 5%. On average, only 5 out of 100 people successfully ascended, but this still couldn't stop the desire of mortals to become stronger. Therefore, almost every day, there would be experts who died because of this. There were many reasons for failing to ascend. For example, the tempering of the physical body was not good enough, or the soul was not strong enough. However, the main reason was that one's understanding of the power of the universe was not comprehensive enough. Therefore, the upper void-piercing tier was born. Powerhouses of this realm would be greatly improved in all aspects, especially their understanding of the power of the universe. According to the author's statistics, the success rate of ascension was about 30%. The probability was greatly increased, but the success rate of breaking through to the upper void-piercing realm was much lower than that of the middle void-piercing realm. If anyone could reach this level, they would definitely be at the level of monsters in the mortal universe. It was precisely because the upper void-piercing realm was too difficult to reach, and because of lifespan and other factors, many powerhouses could only take the risk and forcibly ascend at the middle level. Failure meant stepping into death. Success meant a comprehensive sublimation. After the introduction of the realm, the main topic turned to Shang Yuhen. At this moment, he firmly believed that Jun Changshao killed the middle-aged man with one punch, and his strength must have reached the middle level of the void-piercing realm. But the truth? Gosheng didn't even touch the threshold of the lower level. To be able to kill the lower level of the void-piercing realm, he completely relied on one punch to kill. The middle-aged man was quite miserable. From the appearance to the conversation with Shang Yuhen, he never looked at Jun Changshao. He even treated him as heir and directly charged for one punch to kill. His subsequent words were also very pretentious, and his energy rose all the way to 100%. In that case, Jun Changshao certainly wouldn't be stingy. He locked onto the middle-aged man and blasted over. This time, he didn't use his feet because he already understood that even if he attacked with his butt, he would suffer the side effects. A gust of wind blew over. Jun Changshao, who was standing proudly in front of the warship, had a head full of black hair that fluttered in the wind, revealing his shiny head. Brother Jun. Shang Yuhen stared and said, You're bald. Jun Changshao didn't say anything. He silently took out the black robe that never wore out, and then put it on his head, saying, With me protecting you, you will be very safe. Xiao. The ancient battlefield flew along the empty space, created by the one punch to kill, and smoothly flew out of the starry sky garbage dump. Plop! The middle-aged man kneeling on the meteorite fell. Although the pair of eyes had lost their vitality, there was still a painful and disbelieving expression on his face. He, who was infinitely close to the strength of two commanders, actually received a boxed meal so easily. On the ancient warship, Jun Changshao happily held the other's spatial ring and said with a smile, "This guy is quite rich." "Brother Jun." Shang Yuhen gradually calmed down, his eyes flashing with admiration. "So you're at the middle level of the void-piercing realm?" "Middle level of the void-piercing realm?" Jun Changshao said. "What do you mean?" Shang Yuhen said in shock. "Brother Jun doesn't know about the void-piercing realm?" Jun Changshao spread out his hands and said, "This one is managing the sect in the plane all year round, and rarely goes out, so I don't know many things." "I see." Shang Yuhen understood, and then explained the void-piercing realm to him. "It's so complicated." Knowing that the void-piercing realm was divided into 3 levels, Jun Changshao was a bit speechless. According to his Wuxia perfection, he still had to break through 3 levels to become the strongest existence in the mortal universe. The system said, "You say it as if the host can break through casually." "Brother Jun," Shang Yuhen said weakly, "you're managing a sect." "Yes," Jun Changshao said. "Is it very strong?" Shang Yuhen asked. Jun Changshao didn't even think and said, "This one is the strongest sect in the plane, and there's no one else." In terms of overall strength, it was indeed so, but when it came from Go Sheng's mouth, it really made people have the impulse to spit all over his face. "Brother Jun, can I join your sect?" Shang Yuhen asked. One punch to kill the lower level of the void-piercing realm. He was definitely an expert among experts. If he joined his sect, his future would definitely be bright. Reader, Dai Lu, come out and take a beating. "Of course you can join," Jun Changshao said. "However, my sect of all times mainly walks the path of the elite, and also talks about talent and money. If you don't have both, then I'm very sorry." "Brother Jun," Shang Yuhen hurriedly said, "I have money." Chapter 12:19. Although Shang Yuhen was a prince in distress, he was really rich. This money was referring to spirit stones. The quality of spirit stones in Tianyuan continent was much higher than in Jiotian continent and other planes. Jun Changshao had long understood this, which was why he changed the sect of all times from an assessment method to a new model, where one could join with qualifications and money. Of course, qualifications were not required, but money was a must. "Are you sure you want to join my sect of all times?" Jun Changshao asked seriously. "Yes," Shang Yuhen said. "However, you need to wait for a while." "Why?" Jun Changshao asked. Shang Yuhen's eyes flashed with anger. "I want to redeem my ancestor and avenge the plane that was destroyed." "Are you confident?" Jun Changshao looked at him. Shang Yuhen was silent for a while and said, "Even if I'm not confident, I have to try." "How much does it cost to redeem your ancestor?" "I heard from others that it seems to cost 10 million spirit stones." "So expensive?" Jun Changshao was stunned. His spirit stones that had reached the 9th grade, 10 million was completely comparable to 50 million 6-pointed star stones. On the way, Go Sheng had already understood that spirit stones were divided into different grades. Falling Star Continent spirit stones could be classified as the lowest grade, Jiotian Continent spirit stones as the 5th grade, and Tianyuan Continent spirit stones as the highest grade 9th grade. It did not matter if it was expensive to redeem someone, but the key was that there was a time limit, and he had to be locked up again. It was simply too wasteful. "How about this?" Jun Changshao said seriously. "Give me the money, I'll help you take revenge." He had never flaunted himself as a chivalrous person, and would never help take revenge for someone unrelated to him. However, if the commission was enough, then he could consider it. Not to mention, 10 million 9th grade spirit stones was not a small amount. In short, as long as the money was in place, there was nothing that Jun Changshao did not dare to do. "Brother Jun," Shang Yuhen said, "although you are strong, my enemy is stronger." "What? Did he not believe in this seat?" Jun Changshao put a hand on his shoulder and said, Don't easily doubt others, especially a handsome guy. Speak. Who is your enemy? Seeing his proud expression, Shang Yuhen's heart was immediately moved, and he said, Great Dark Demon King. Jun Changxiao's mouth twitched. Why didn't he call himself King Piccolo? How strong are they? How many subordinates do they have? Where are they? Jun Changxiao asked. Shang Yuhen said, The Dark Demon King was once suppressed in the Demon Sealing Valley by the Heaven Origin Soul-Suppressing Pagoda. After the divine artifact disappeared, he broke the seal and rushed out. His expression gradually became pained. That was because after the demon broke the seal, a calamity befell the continent. The various countries, including the Shang dynasty, were attacked by the devil army. In a short period of time, the entire plain was filled with corpses, and the people were in a terrible situation. Although he was able to escape safely in the end, whenever he saw the shattered mountains and rivers before he left, it would appear in his nightmares, tormenting him to the point where he wished he was dead. On the Tianyuan continent. Yes. What about strength? I'm not too sure about the situation, but according to the guard's speculation, he's probably infinitely close to the upper level of the void-piercing tier. It doesn't seem to be too strong, Jun Changxiao said. He had just learned about the brand-new realm system and had not seen much of a gap between the lower and middle levels. Shang Yuhen said, Those who have reached the middle level of the void-piercing tier have already mastered the power of the universe and can easily kill the lower level of the void-piercing tier. Jun Changxiao was quite surprised. It seems a bit strong. You can kill the lower level with one punch. Don't you know the strength of the middle level of the void-piercing tier? Shang Yuhen muttered in his heart. Of course. He said, The Dark Demon King is infinitely close to the upper level of the middle level of the void-piercing tier. His strength will only be more terrifying. Dozens of the lower level of the void-piercing tier, on my continent, were still easily obliterated. Jun Changxiao's mouth twitched slightly. He didn't know how much power the middle level of the void-piercing tier had, but to be able to easily obliterate dozens of the lower level, it was absolutely explosive. With his current strength, it would be very difficult to fight with him. AI. Shang Yuhen sighed. If the Heaven Origin Soul-Suppressing Pagoda was still there, my Tianyuan continent would not have been destroyed. Why do you say that? Jun Changxiao asked. Shang Yuhen said, The Heaven Origin Soul-Suppressing Pagoda can suppress all evil things in the world. It just so happens to restrain the Dark Demon King, formed by the convergence of evil power. Jun Changxiao's eyebrows raised in joy. Before leaving this time, he specially brought the Heaven Origin Soul-Suppressing Pagoda with him. This kind of treasure that could shrink and enlarge at any time could be placed in an underground prison 1 second, and the next second it could be taken out to smash walnuts for people to eat. Give me 10 million spirit stones, I will help you take revenge. Jun Changxiao stood up, a rare serious expression on his face. Big brother Jun, Shang Yuhen said, The Dark Demon King still has 10 lower-level void-piercing tier subordinates, close to 100,000 well-trained subordinates. Jun Changxiao, who had just cultivated a heroic aura, suddenly felt a bit discouraged. Whether the Heaven Origin Soul-Suppressing Pagoda could absolutely restrain the Dark Demon King, he was now uncertain. Now that he learned that he still had so many subordinates, he suddenly felt a bit difficult to deal with. Ding! Side quest triggered. At this time, a prompt sounded in his ear. Jun Changxiao opened the panel and saw the side quest Please kill the Dark Demon King and his subordinates within 3 months. Remaining time, 89 days, super elite mission. I just had the thought of being scared, and the quest immediately forced me to be tough. Kid. Jun Changxiao straightened his back and said, How do I get to Tianyuan continent? Big brother Jun wants to take revenge for me? That's right. Shang Yuhen was a bit conflicted. After all, it was a bit unrealistic for him to go alone and face so many subordinates of the Dark Demon King. Don't worry. Jun Changxiao put on the Xianyuan divine armor and said proudly, There are only things this lord doesn't want to do. There is nothing this lord can't do. With the support of the equipment, his imposing manner reached the peak, which made Shang Yuhen feel safer. So he stood up and pointed in a direction. Go here. How long will it take to reach the location? According to the current speed, it will take at least a year. Plop. Jun Changshao fell. The time limit given by the mission was only 3 months. If he rushed over in a year, it would be too late. No. For the 10 million ninth grade spirit stones, he had to increase his speed to the extreme. Whoosh, there was a faint ripple in the starry sky, and the ancient warship seemed to travel through space and disappeared on the spot. Can the unstoppable blade deal with a middle void-piercing realm cultivator? On the way, Jun Changshao kept thinking, although the arrival of the side quest made him decide to punish evil. If his biggest trump card couldn't deal with this level, then he would definitely be sending himself to death. Ask Area. The system said. Yes. Jun Changshao slapped his forehead, and his soul entered the Tianyuan prison pagoda. He called Area, who was managing the prisoners, to the surveillance room and said, "Girl, have you heard of the Dark Demon King?" "Master," Area said with a look of disdain. "This little bastard, of course I have heard of him." Chapter 1220. Little Turtle Grandson? Jun Changshao was dumbfounded. This title was too contemptuous of a great demon king. "Master," Area asked curiously, "why would you mention the guy I bullied for 10,000 years for no reason?" Jun Changshao's mouth twitched slightly. Although he did not have the taste of being taught by the soul-suppressing whip, he was still looking forward to it. However, the Soul Clan Palace Masters immediately became cowards and were obedient to him. He knew that the process must be very painful. The so-called Dark Great Demon King was bullied by Area for 10,000 years. That was simply unimaginable. Swoosh, Jun Changshao sat down and waved his hand, saying, "Please tell me the story of you and the Dark Great Demon King." Area said, "There is a special dark attribute in the mortal universe. In the long river of time, it slowly gathered into a great demon king who gathered all evil. On the day it was formed, it was seen by the mighty people of the upper realm. They used the energy to purify the evil in the world to create a tower. Then, they suppressed the great demon king, who wanted to bring disaster to the mortal world in the Tianyuan continent. This tower is the Heaven Origin Soul Suppressing Tower." Jun Changshao asked. "Yes," Area said, "and I am the energy that purifies the evil in the world. In the end, I exist in the form of an artifact spirit in the tower." Jun Changshao was stunned. He knew that the Heaven Origin Soul Suppressing Tower was very strong, but he did not expect it to come from the upper realm. No matter how awesome the equipment in the mortal universe was, it would definitely be overshadowed by the upper realm label. "It's normal," the system said. "After all, it resisted the power of the Thunder Tribulation." "That's true." Jun Changshao was overjoyed and said, "You and the Heaven Origin Soul Suppressing Tower exist to suppress the Dark Great Demon King." "Yes." Area nodded. Jun Changshao said, "If you meet that guy again, can you deal with it?" "Why?" Area opened her eyes wide and said fiercely, "Did that little turtle bully Master?" "Yes." Jun Changshao pretended to be pitiful and said, "I was bullied badly by it." Swoosh. Whoosh. In an instant, whips, candles, handcuffs, shackles, ropes, and other training tools appeared behind Area. Her eyes turned red and she said, "Master, I will avenge you." Coincidentally, Zhao Daodu, who had just finished giving mental counseling to a few prisoners, passed by the monitoring room. When he saw the blackened Area, he was so shocked that he almost fell to the ground. The Dark Demon King probably wouldn't have thought that he would be arranged like this, even though he clearly didn't know Gosheng. "Are you sure it can be done? As long as Master smashes the Heaven Origin Soul Suppressing Pagoda on him, leave the rest to me." "No problem." Jun Changshao felt a little guilty about defeating the Dark Demon King with his own strength. But if it was just smashing the pagoda, it should be easy. "Right," Jun Changshao said. "That guy still has a group of subordinates." Area said, "It must have been formed by its own dark attribute. As long as we can control the main body, we can easily take care of it." "I see." Jun Changshao was a little surprised in his heart. This Dark Demon King's strength was originally very strong. It could even create 10 lower-level void-piercing realm, and 100,000 subordinates. It could completely be called the top big boss of the mortal world. If Arya can control it, and a group of subordinates, I can save a talisman to open the seal. Jun Changxiao's initial thought was to hand the Dark Demon King over to the soul-suppressing pagoda and use hard to take back to deal with his subordinates. Although the final result would be a long period of weakness, for 10 million 9th-grade spirit stones, for a side mission, it was definitely worth it. Moreover, for 2 side missions, he even dared to marry the Rose Queen. What else in the world did he not dare to do? The system ridiculed. This is what the host thought of, not what I said. Haven't you said enough? Xiao. The ancient warship went all out, heading towards Tianyuan continent at the fastest speed. Of course, the energy consumption was also fast. For the side mission, and 10 million spirit stones, Jun Changxiao didn't care about the cost at all. The closer they got to Tianyuan continent, the more worried Shang Yuhen was, afraid that Brother Jun wouldn't be able to deal with the Dark Demon King. It didn't matter if he died. If he implicated his benefactor, he would really be a bastard. Jun Changxiao saw his worry and comforted him. Don't worry, in this mortal universe, no one can threaten me. I hope so, Shang Yuhen secretly said. 1 month later, after crossing the endless universe, the ancient warship finally flew into the region of Tianyuan continent. Strange. Jun Changxiao was puzzled. Why are there so many abandoned planes? After entering this region of the universe, he passed by a few planes, but all of them had withered spiritual energy and were deserted. The vast universe nurtured countless habitable continents. Some would gradually reach the peak, some would slowly decline. This was a normal law of nature. However, it was a little strange for there to be abandoned planes in a small area. Brother Jun, Shang Yuhen clenched his fist and said, "The Dark Demon King is born by devouring planes. It's not only targeting Tianyuan continent. These planes were all destroyed by it?" Jun Changxiao asked. Without a doubt. Jun Changxiao secretly said, such a powerful and evil creature should at least be classified as an epic mission. How could it be classified as a side mission? Xiao. The ancient warship continued to move forward. A few days later, it floated in the starry sky of a desolate plain. This continent was very big, and the falling star continent could only be described as a child. Looking from the outside, there were many small cracks visible to the naked eye, as if it would break apart at any time. Shang Yuhen stood on the deck with his fists clenched, his eyes bloodshot. Jun Changxiao knew that this was Tianyuan continent. From the degree of desolation, it was even worse than the ones they passed by previously. Xiao. The ancient warship flew in. After passing through the spatial barrier and seeing everything, Jun Changxiao fell silent. The entire world was filled with cracks and craters. Even the space was in a state of collapse, as if it had just experienced the end of the world. Drip drip. Shang Yuhen's body seemed to be frozen in place. Blood flowed from his fist and splattered on the floor. Jun Changxiao did not console him, because he thought that if the falling star continent he lived in became like this, the anger and pain in his heart would not be any weaker than Shang Yuhen's. The ancient warship slowed down and flew in the shattered land. One could vaguely see that under the ruins of a city, there were many withered corpses. In a huge crater, there were even hundreds of thousands of skeletons. From the various movements, it was obvious that they had struggled when they were alive. Not to mention Shang Yuhen. When Jun Changxiao saw this scene, the unerasable grief of the descendants of Wuxia flooded his mind. The anger in his bones, blood, and soul was instantly ignited. Kid, I don't want the money. This Dark Demon King, I must kill him. Chapter 12:21. That's right. Jun Changxiao didn't want money anymore. Even if it was just voluntary help. He wanted to destroy the Dark Demon King. The system didn't take this opportunity to complain, because this man was really angry now. Mentioning money was an insult to his character. Brother Jun. Shang Yuhen was stunned. Why was the anger in his eyes so strong? He didn't know that some things were not only experienced by him, but also happened in other star fields, and were engraved in the hearts of future generations. Ho. Jun Changxiao stood at the bow of the ship, and released his spiritual sense. Soon, he caught many black-armored warriors in the ruins of a city in the distance. They seemed to have undergone strict training. Boom! Boom! There was a roar in the ruins. Dozens of warriors fought like trapped beasts, even if they were injured and could fall at any time. Behind them, in the deepest stone room, thousands of survivors knelt on the ground and prayed, praying that the heavens would bless them to live. Boom! The black energy exploded on the ground, and the whole ground cracked again. The originally dilapidated city buildings suddenly turned into powder. A warrior from the Tianyuan continent was lying on the ground with a hole in his chest. His ferocious face was filled with anger and unwillingness. Old he! His companions roared angrily, and all their grief and anger gathered on their weapons. They charged without caring about their lives. Although they could kill a few black-armored warriors, they were surrounded by enemies. This was just the tip of the iceberg. The warriors of the Tianyuan continent, who had not been completely wiped out, were still resisting, using their blood and lives to win a glimmer of light for their descendants. Kill them all! A black-armored leader shouted in a deep voice. Shwa! Shwa! In an instant, thousands of soldiers rushed over, their bodies releasing strange attributes, rendering the environment incomparably dark. Dozens of wounded warriors of the Tianyuan continent knew that they didn't have long to live. They released all their spiritual power and strength, just to drag a few of them down with them before they died. Whoosh! Suddenly, a colorful stream of light burst from the sky, directly passing through the heads of thousands of black-armored warriors, and finally hit the black-armored leader accurately. The dark environment was torn apart by the light, and then gradually faded until the world returned to normal. The cultivators of the Tianyuan continent, who were prepared to die, were all dumbfounded. The sudden burst of multicolored light gave them an unprecedented sense of security. Swoosh! Whoosh! Everyone looked in the direction where the light came from. In his field of vision, a man in a black robe floated proudly in the air. His face was as sharp as a knife, and his gaze was like ice. The aura he exuded was like that of a god of war. Your Highness! When the surviving warriors saw the young man standing in front of the black-robed man, their eyes lit up with excitement. I'm sorry. Shang Yuhen clenched his fists and said, I'm late. The Great Shang Empire occupied close to 60% of the continent's land and had an unprecedented number of citizens. As a prince, he was unable to live and die with his family, yet he was the first to escape when the disaster struck. He had always been deeply remorseful. Shwa! Shwa! More black-armored martial artists flew over from afar. There were about 3,000 to 5,000 of them. Jun Changshao raised his hand, and the Sky Tyrant spear appeared out of thin air. He grabbed the spear's hilt with one hand and disappeared in an instant. Then he appeared in front of the incoming enemy and said, It's not too late. Boom! Boom! The cold spear light seemed to turn into a line and swept across the sky. The thousands of black-armored martial artists were instantly killed on the spot. Dark Demon King! Jun Changshao held his spear in midair and roared, Come out for me! His voice reverberated in the sky, and the anger it carried seemed to tear the space apart. He did not wish to fight his way to the final checkpoint. Instead, he wanted to go straight to the point and call out the final boss. After all, he still had to go to the Cosmic Fortress. Time was tight. Ho-ho-ho! Before the echoing voice had even died down, the eastern region of the Tianyuan continent surged with rolling black clouds like a huge wave. The sky darkened once again, and the gloomy aura became even denser. Whoa! A cold wind blew, and it sounded like the cries of ghosts. The faces of the injured Tianyuan continent martial artists changed drastically. Brother Jun! Shang Yuhen clenched his fists and said, The Dark Demon King is here. Jun Changshao said coldly, A guy who is at death's door. His entrance is quite stylish. Ho-ho-ho! The huge wave of black clouds quickly approached. One by one, the black-armored martial artists flew over and hovered a few hundred feet away from Jun Changshao. The number increased from a few thousand to tens of thousands. This formation was very strong, and it made Shang Yuhen panic. Jun Changshao had a look of disdain. As a man who had been punished on the battlefield and faced 100,000 spirits, he would not frown even if there were a few 100,000 more. The black-armored martial artists that gradually appeared did not move. They were like soldiers who had undergone strict training. They hovered in midair or stood on the ground, emitting a strange aura that made people shudder. Kid. The rolling black clouds pressed over, and a sharp voice sounded. Who are you? Jun Changshao held his head high and said proudly, Beauty and wisdom, the embodiment of heroes and chivalry, Jun Chao Shui. Bah! A voice came from the black clouds. Jun Changshao said indifferently, Only a rascal would hide his head and show his tail. Kikik. The classic villain's unique strange laughter resounded through the sky. Immediately, a black attribute appeared from the clouds and gradually condensed into a bald old man wearing a black robe. His eyes were emitting an evil light. At first glance, one could tell that he was not a good person. Jun Changshao's mentality exploded, because not only did he wear the same clothes as the other party, but also his head. As the only handsome person in this drama, he would not allow an ugly person to wear the same clothes and head shape as him. Kid. The dark demon king who revealed his true body smiled coldly and said, You are the helper invited by Tianyuan continent. Yes, Jun Changshao said indifferently. Kikik. The dark demon king laughed strangely. Lower void-piercing realm, and you dare to be a hero. Who gave you such courage? Shang Yuhen was stunned. Brother Jun was not a middle void-piercing realm? Or, he deliberately hid his cultivation, not letting the dark demon king see through it, so that he could catch him off guard during the battle? His strength was not high, so it was difficult for him to spy on Jun Changshao's cultivation. However, the injured Tianyuan continent martial artists standing behind him had strength only second to the lower void-piercing realm. At this moment, they were all secretly cursing. The helper invited by His Highness, no matter how they looked at it, seemed to be similar to themselves. Could he beat the Dark Demon King? Although they had doubts in their hearts, they did not say it out loud. After all, this person was invited by His Highness, so he should have extraordinary strength. To deal with trash like you, I don't need to have a high realm, Jun Changshao said indifferently. At this moment, his brain was working rapidly, considering how to take out the Sky Origin soul-suppressing pagoda, and then smash it on the opponent, handing it over to Arya to deal with. Oh! At this moment, the Dark Demon King gathered his evil power, and quickly condensed a big hand in the sky. He said coldly, This king will now send you the real trash on your way. Feeling the pressure of the terrifying power, Jun Changshao roared in his heart. Why does this villain not talk much? Chapter 1222. Who said that villains die from talking too much? Not only did this Dark Demon King not talk much, he did not even shoot his mouth off. He directly gathered his powerful force and pressed it down on Jun Changshao. With the absolute strength to kill, who would have nothing to say? Moreover, Jun Changshao's arrogance had made it very unhappy. That was why it had suppressed him without hesitation. It felt as if it was swatting an annoying fly with its hand. Whoosh whoosh. The terrifying evil chi came first and blew away Jun Changshao's black robe, revealing his head that was still bright in the dark environment. So it's Baldy, the Dark Demon King said disdainfully. Fuck. Aren't you Baldy too? Jun Changshao did not have time to complain, because the situation was very dangerous. Whoosh. In an instant, the Xianyuan divine armor covered his body, and his cultivation erupted, forming layers of defensive walls around him. He could also use the Heaven Origin soul-suppressing pagoda to increase the strength, but this was equivalent to exposing himself, which was not good for surprise. Your Highness! Whoosh! 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 The injured Tianyuan continent warriors rushed over and grabbed Shang Yuhen, flying out of the area covered by the palm print. Because the power was locked onto Jun Changshao, although they could not avoid being eroded by the evil chi, they still managed to escape the moment it pressed down. Rumble! The huge palm print pressed down, and the originally broken ground was heavily damaged, immediately cracking open. Looking down from the starry sky, the small cracks that were originally clearly visible on the plane expanded by a lot, as if it was about to collapse and disintegrate. The huge movement affected the stone room deep underground, and the surviving old, weak, women and children trembled violently, and all of them sped up their prayers. In the face of a terrifying disaster, They were powerless to stop it, and could only pray to the heavens to save them. Whoosh whoosh, whoosh whoosh whoosh. In the area where the palm print pressed down, the wind was still roaring. The sky was filled with dust, and the originally dark world seemed to be covered with a layer of demon's gauze. Pooh! Pooh! The cultivators who had brought Shang Yuhen to safety all vomited blood as they struggled to stand with pale white faces. They were already seriously injured, and they had risked their lives to save the prince despite the evil energy entering their bodies. At this moment, they had completely lost the ability to fight. Of course, at this time, no one cared about themselves. What they cared about was the dust-filled area. With that kind of power, if the prince's helper couldn't dodge it in time, he would be in deep trouble. Big brother Jun. Shang Yuhen was extremely worried. Gradually, the dust was blown away by the wind, and Jun Changxiao's figure appeared, causing him to be overjoyed. However, in the next second his expression froze. The injured martial artists from the Yuan continent were stunned. Even the Dark Demon King had a look of surprise on his face. Everything in the area was clearly visible. They saw that not only was Jun Changxiao standing there unscathed, but there were also strange weapons floating around him. Why was it strange? Because no one had ever seen or heard of it before. If one had to find something to compare it to in terms of form, it would be like a broom. It was not a broom. It was a more advanced vacuum cleaner. That was close, that was close. Jun Changxiao looked calm, but he was secretly rejoicing. Even with the protection of the Xianyuan divine armor, he might not be able to withstand the power of the palm print just now. Therefore, when he took it head-on, he directly took out 20 modified vacuum cleaners. This item was useless against the handsome man and the 5 hegemons of Starry Sky, because the other party was considered a villain and not an evil cultivator. The Dark Demon King was different. This guy was definitely a fighter jet of the evil cultivators. The moment the evil palm print pressed down, Jun Changxiao first used the gathered defense to offset the power that he could withstand. Then, he directly activated the enhanced mode of the modified vacuum cleaner and crazily absorbed the remaining power. To deal with the soul race hiding in the body of a martial artist, one modified vacuum cleaner was enough. Facing such a demon king that was comparable to a mid-level void-piercing realm, even if Jun Changxiao offset most of the evil power, there was no guarantee that 20 vacuum cleaners could finish him off. Fortunately, it succeeded. As the price, all 20 modified vacuum cleaners exploded. Kid, the Dark Demon King said with interest. What kind of treasure is this? It can actually absorb this king's power? Mutton fat jade bottle. Jun Changxiao said indifferently. Bottle? The Dark Demon King was stunned. It couldn't see what this broom-like thing had to do with a bottle. Of course, Jun Changxiao said. I also have a purple gold-red gourd that has unpredictable power. Do you want to try its power? Pooh. At this point he spat out a mouthful of blood. Hee. The Dark Demon King laughed strangely and said, although you resolved the palm, you still can't avoid being injured. Even if you have a treasure that can steal the fortune of heaven and earth, how can you hurt this king? Damn it! Jun Changxiao wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth, his eyes filled with unwillingness. Come, the Dark Demon King said. Take out that gourd of yours and let this king see how unpredictable it is. It was now very sure that the helper it invited was very weak. Now that it was injured after taking a palm, it could crush it to death at will. Shwa! Jun Changxiao waved his hand, and the Patriarch's exclusive weapon, Finger of Empire, appeared out of thin air. This is the gourd you were talking about? The Dark Demon King frowned. Just now, he called the broom-like weapon a bottle. Now he called the itchy weapon a gourd. Was he bullying him for having no intelligence? Jun Changxiao pointed at the part with the finger facing the sky and said, Don't you think it looks like a gourd? Shang Yuhen's mouth twitched. This strange thing didn't look like a gourd at all. It looked more like a special gesture. Less nonsense. The Dark Demon King sneered and said, Hurry up and let this king see how unpredictable it is. Pa. At this moment, Jun Changxiao pressed the Finger of Empire button with one hand. His eyes were even bigger than a bull's. He first locked onto the big boss, then locked onto the surrounding black-armored martial artists, and shouted at the top of his voice. Because I saw you in the crowd. Huff huff. Huff huff huff. In an instant, the dark clouds in the sky were stirred and then split into two. One gathered into the shape of a huge finger, and the other gathered into the shape of a huge whirlpool. It's coming, it's coming. Dog Leftover's most shameless AoE skill that covered the entire screen. The Dark Demon King frowned after being glanced at. At the moment when the dark clouds in the sky merged, a slight chill came from his butt. Not good. His expression changed, and he immediately waved his hand. Pa! The invisible force that suddenly appeared behind him was grabbed tightly. He sneered and said, "Good lad, you actually used a dirty move. Xiao." At this moment, Jun Changshao appeared above his head. He assumed a difficult and enchanting pose that could only be found in JoJo. Then he made a heart gesture and said, "Go, my darling." Huff huff. The Heaven Origin soul-suppressing pagoda appeared out of thin air and rapidly expanded from its pocket-sized form. Then it ruthlessly pressed down on the Dark Demon King. "Little bastard. Great Aunt is coming." Arya's voice sounded out of thin air, and the Dark Demon King's scalp was about to explode. Rumble, the enlarged Heaven Origin soul-suppressing pagoda, landed on the ground. Rolling dust swirled around it, adding a bit of majesty and weight to it. Chapter 1223. After all, the Dark Demon King had the body of a human, so the sure kill skill of World Pointer had an effect on it. However, after the vortex in the sky merged with the finger, the invisible force formed was caught by the opponent before it could reach the designated position. From this it could be seen, as the exclusive divine weapon of the Patriarch, it was difficult to shake the mid-level void-piercing realm. Jun Changshao was neither surprised nor depressed, because the sure kill skill of World Pointer was nothing more than a feint. The real purpose was to create a better opportunity for himself. "Go, my precious baby!" Under the shameful shout, the Heaven Origin soul-suppressing pagoda finally made a magnificent appearance. The Dark Demon King, who was distracted by the invisible force, could not make an effective defense in the first place, so it was inevitable that it would be smashed. Of course, with its strength, even if 100,000 mountains fell, it would not have any damage, but the nightmarish voice that tortured it sounded, and its scalp exploded in an instant. "Little bastard, from today onwards I'll train you. Little bastard, next time you see me, you have to call me Grand Aunt. Little bastard, which one will you choose today? Little bastard, I'm coming again." Scenes of the past appeared in the depths of its memory, causing the Dark Demon King to fall into deep fear. In the end, it lost its resistance and allowed the Heaven Origin soul-suppressing pagoda to smash it. 50,000 years ago, there was a kind of evil energy in the mortal universe that lived by absorbing the evil thoughts of the common people. 40,000 years ago, the evil energy gathered together and nurtured a fetus. 30,000 years ago, wisdom was born in the fetus, and it had self-awareness. 20,000 years ago, after continuing to absorb the evil thoughts of the common people, the fetus began to evolve into a physical body. 15,000 years ago, the Dark Demon King, who was only in the form of a child, finally walked out of the evil. Just as a sinister smile appeared on its face, it was taken away by the soul-suppressing pagoda formed by the upper realm. It was pressed into the demon sealing valley of the Tianyuan continent and began to be tortured in all aspects. Purple Craggy Monster King's death was already a tragedy for him. As an evil spirit born in the mortal universe, it was even more tragic when it was dealt with before it even began to show its strength or say a line. Woo woo woo. Every night, the cries of the Dark Demon King could be heard coming from Demon Sealing Valley. When the martial artists heard this, their blood ran cold, and they recognized this place as the continent's most dangerous forbidden area. One person spread it to 10, 10 spread it to 100, leaving behind all kinds of legends about the terrifying creatures in the valley. He had been trained by Arya for 10,000 years, from a child to an adult. Just as he was about to be purified into a beneficial life form, the Dark Demon King finally saw the light he had been waiting for, because the soul-suppressing pagoda that was pressing down on his head had suddenly disappeared. He was excited and excited, It was hard to describe his feelings at that time. The great dark demon king didn't immediately come out to do evil. That was because after being purified for 10,000 years, he needed to nurture evil energy again and recover the demeanor a king should have. Another 5,000 years passed. It had finally regained its former glory, easily breaking through the seal and descending on the Tianyuan continent as an invincible being. However, after being cocky for a while, the heaven origin soul-suppressing pagoda that had disappeared suddenly reappeared and sucked it in again. From the birth of the great dark demon king until now, it had been born, suppressed, unsealed, and then suppressed again. Hoo-hoo! The wind whistled and the space cracked. After the heaven origin soul-suppressing pagoda landed, nearly 100,000 black-armored martial artists seemed to have lost their souls. They were all dumbfounded on the spot, and those that were suspended in the sky fell down crazily like flies. Shang Yuhen was dumbfounded. The injured Tianyuan continent martial artists were also stunned. Well, what was going on? Gradually, the dust that had gathered around dissipated, and everything became clear. They saw the heaven origin soul-suppressing pagoda that was like a tall mountain. "This is," Shang Yuhen exclaimed, "the divine weapon that disappeared from our Tianyuan continent." He had never seen the heaven origin soul-suppressing pagoda before, but he had read about it in the literature, so he could immediately tell from the aura and shape. The injured martial artists also opened their eyes wide. The divine weapon that had disappeared mysteriously for thousands of years had actually appeared in the world again. Was this a dream? Was this a dream? At this moment, the rolling black clouds that had gathered in the sky gradually dispersed, and the sun that represented the light shone on the earth. Feeling the long-awaited warmth, the injured martial artists all knelt on the ground, using their hands to support their bodies, and tears rolled down like rain. Pung! Pung! The black-armored martial artists that had gathered together began to explode one after another, until all of them turned into nothingness. The dark attribute that existed in the Tianyuan continent had completely disappeared. Xiao! Jun Changshao waved his hand, and the huge heaven origin soul-suppressing pagoda quickly flew over. Shua! It floated in front of the dazed Shang Yuhen and said, "Everything is over." Plop! Shang Yuhen knelt on the ground and said gratefully, "Thank you, Brother Jun, for destroying this demon for our Tianyuan continent." Jun Changshao used his dense spiritual energy to lift him up, and said righteously, "Punishing evil and eliminating evil is what every chivalrous person should do." Brother Jun, Shang Yuhen took out a few spatial rings from somewhere, and said, "Here are 10 million spirit stones, please accept them." "No." Jun Changshao frowned and said, "You are insulting me." Very manly. The system had been with him for so long, and this was the first time it had seen a good deed that did not accept money. Some money can be accepted, some money cannot be accepted, Jun Changshao said proudly. "This is the principle of my life, Jun Changshao." Shang Yuhen said, "Brother Jun helped our Tianyuan continent to get rid of the great demon king, so these spirit stones should be accepted." Jun Changshao was unmoved. "Brother Jun, since you are so sincere, I can accept these 10 million spirit stones." Jun Changshao said seriously, "But it is not the reward for helping you eliminate the great demon king, but the fee for entering my sect." "Good," Shang Yuhen said happily. Therefore, Jun Changshao accepted the 10 million spirit stones, but only as the fee for entering the sect, and not for eliminating the great demon king. So he said calmly in his heart, "I did not violate my principles." The system roared, "Who needs 10 million ninth-grade spirit stones to enter the sect?" "My sect," Jun Changshao said proudly, "the strongest sect in history." The system was powerless to complain, and could only leave it to the readers. Inside the heaven origin soul-suppressing tower, in the monitoring room, Zhao Daodu could not bear to look, and turned his head away from the light screen. The prisoners in the 9th floor of the prison were shivering in the corner, sometimes closing their eyes, sometimes secretly opening them to look at the projection array. Gulp! The 3 tyrants swallowed a mouthful of saliva, and their hands were trembling violently. Even the unyielding Brother Green Scarf looked at the light screen, and his eyebrows and facial muscles jumped wildly. Why did they have such expressions? This was because a prisoner had just arrived. He was tied up with ropes and was being subjected to the most brutal and terrifying torture by the warden. Pa pa pa. ZZZ. The number of consecutive moves on the screen reached 9,999 plus. Chapter 1224. Huff huff. Inside the Soul Pagoda, Arya had her hands on her hips. Her breathing was slightly rapid. There were various props scattered on the ground, all of which had lost their color. It was clear that the energy injected into them had been squandered away. Terrifying, Zhao Daoda said with a face full of fear. It's too terrifying. During his time in prison, he had seen Arya charging various props, but most of them would last for 10 days to half a month. Now it was used up in just one day to deal with one person. How much energy had been injected? The prisoners who had been trained and tortured were now so scared that their teeth were chattering and their scalps were numb. The Dark Demon King was still bound by the rope and hung in midair. Its body was covered with visible scars, and it brought the kind of pain that affected the soul. It had not experienced it for thousands of years. Now that it had been trained again, it was still the original formula. The original formula. Great Aunt, the Dark Demon King said weakly. I was wrong. I won't dare to do it again. Its appearance just now, the temperament that a villain should have, was long gone. Where did you go wrong? Wrong. I shouldn't have broken the seal and brought disaster to the world. Smack! Arya raised the soul-subduing whip and slammed it over. Her almond-shaped eyes widened as she said, Wrong! Yes, the Dark Demon King said. I was wrong, I was really wrong. Smack, smack, smack. Arya hit it 3 times in a row and said angrily with her hands on her hips, You were wrong. I was wrong. I shouldn't have said that I was wrong. The Dark Demon King was suddenly confused and said hurriedly, If Great Aunt says I was wrong, then I was wrong. Arya raised the whip and said coldly, Your biggest mistake was bullying my master. Master? The Dark Demon King was stunned. After being trained for 10,000 years, it knew that the Divine Soul Pagoda was an ownerless object, and even knew that no one in the mortal universe was qualified to control it. In theory, this treasure created by the mighty people of the upper realm was completely used to suppress evil spirits. Martial artists were not allowed to sign a contract with it and recognize it as its master. However, it appeared in the purchase goods column as a reward for a mission. Others could not sign a contract with it, but Jun Changshao could because a contract would be forced if he bought it. So, this cheat, there was no solution. Who was the master of the weapon spirit? The bald man in black? That was impossible. That guy was so weak that he couldn't bear to look straight at him. How could he control a divine artifact from the higher realms? Swish! Just as the Dark Demon King was pondering, Jun Changshao merged into the Soul Pagoda and appeared in front of Arya. Can this guy be killed? The black-armored cultivators outside had all been dealt with. As long as the main culprit was killed, the side mission would be completed. Master, Arya said, this guy is nurtured by evil thoughts. Unless the world no longer has evil thoughts, it will be extremely difficult to erase him. Jun Changshao was dumbfounded. If I can't kill it, how can I complete the mission? Furthermore, no matter if it was a human or any other creature, how could they not have any evil thoughts? Of course, Arya continued, you can also purify all the evil thoughts in its body, which is no different from obliterating it. Jun Changshao was overjoyed. How long will it take to purify it? It took advantage of my absence to recover the power of evil. It will take at least 1,000 years for it to be completely purified. 1,000 years or more. Jun Changshao almost lost his balance and fell to the ground. There were only 60 days left for the side mission. Not to mention 1,000 years, he could not even wait a year. Originally, he thought that it was no wonder that the Sky Origin Soul Pagoda was classified as a side mission and not an epic. Now looking at it again, it should be an epic. It was a waste of talent to place it in a side mission. Can it be accelerated? Master, how much do you need to accelerate? Can it be purified in 60 days? Arya opened her eyes wide. At least 1,000 years, shortened to 2 months, This acceleration was simply crazy. Master, Arius said, I can't do it. Tianyuan continent. The survivors hiding in the underground stone room came out. After adapting to the long-lost sunlight, they all surged with uncontrollable joy. Heaven had opened its eyes. A miracle had appeared. What made the Tianyuan continent cultivators even more excited was that the shattered mountains and rivers, the separated continents, and the collapsed space gradually healed. Although it was difficult to restore the original appearance, it was not so fragmented anymore. Swish. On the mountain, Jun Changshao took back the terrain remodeling instrument and shook his head. I can only do this. The lost attributes of heaven and earth cannot be reversed. Thank you, Brother Jun, Shang Yuhen said gratefully. After going through a huge disaster, the once majestic heaven and earth attributes of Tianyuan continent were gone forever. But at least the plain still existed, and the people could still live. This was already very satisfying. Only those who had truly experienced hardship would understand that even living a difficult life was a luxury. Brother Jun on the ancient warship, Shang Yuhen said with a firm gaze, Let's go. Don't you want to stay and build a new home with them? Jun Changshao asked. Shang Yuhen said, After going through this disaster, I understood a principle. Only by becoming stronger can I bring safety to the people, so... Plop. Kneeling on the deck, he kowtowed and said, Please accept me as your disciple, please let me become stronger. The moment Shang Yuhen knelt down, the humorous atmosphere that permeated throughout the book was immediately replaced by a serious atmosphere. Jun Changshao's sloppy appearance was gone. Under the support of the title Most Shameless, the temperament of a sect leader reached its peak. Swish. Taking out the entry form, he said, Name. Tianyuan continent, Shang Yuhen. Gender. When the entry process was completed and the sect seal was stamped, Shang Yuhen, the representative of Tianyuan continent, became a disciple. The sect of all times finally stepped out of the falling star continent and into the mortal universe. Brother Jun. Pung plop. Shang Yuhen fell on the deck, with a gourd-shaped bump on his head. Jun Changshao, who was standing beside him, roared, Which disciple dares to call the patriarch brother? There were only a few 100,000 survivors in Tianyuan continent. They stood in the ruins and watched the warship leave. Your Highness. The people did not organize, but they shouted in unison, You must become stronger. Hearing the shouts of his people, Shang Yuhen, who was standing at the stern, clenched his fist and swore in his heart, I will become stronger, I will return. The Dark Demon King had been dealt with. There was no need for revenge, but this did not mean that it was over. He had to become stronger and use his strength to benefit Tianyuan continent. Patriarch, how did you get the Heaven Origin Soul Suppressing Tower? This is a good question. If you want to get to the bottom of it, you have to start from the origin of the sect of all times. Legend has it that a long time ago, before the heaven and earth were separated, the universe was still chaotic. Gradually, a giant named Pangu was born. Later, he opened his eyes and found that he could not see anything, so he angrily picked up his axe and slashed left and right. Chapter 1225. As far as Li Qingyang and the others knew, the founder of the sect of all times was the great sage, Heaven's equal Sun Wukong. However, once Jun Changshao started bragging, he couldn't stop and instantly raised the origin of the sect to Panga splitting the heavens. In short, as the sect grew stronger, its backer had to be strong, Panga splitting the heavens and earth, one chi into three pure ones, Nuwa mending the heavens, Kwafu chasing the sun, and so on. Everything that could be arranged for him was arranged in one word: foundation. The big shots of the Chinese mythological system were all related to the sect of all times. Their foundation was simply too strong. Shang Yuhen was dumbfounded. So the sect that I joined had so many amazing people. Jun Changshao said with a serious face. This heaven origin soul suppressing pagoda was formed by my ancestor Pangu, using the axe that split the heavens and earth. It can purify all evil in the mortal universe. The system was speechless. If it was the Linglong pagoda used by Neza's father, it could still barely accept it. But to say that Panga's axe was a soul-suppressing pagoda, this was simply insane. What do you know? Jun Changshao said. How can pagoda-bearing Heavenly King Li's Linglong Pagoda be compared to Panga's axe that split the heavens and earth? Since you want to boast about your foundation, of course you have to boast about the strongest. The system was speechless. Patriarch, Shang Yuhen said dumbly. I heard that the heaven-origin soul-suppressing pagoda came from the upper realm. Jun Changshao said helplessly. You still found out. What did I find out? Shang Yuhen was confused. That's right. Jun Changshao suddenly disappeared and stood on the bow with his hands behind his back. The heaven-origin soul-suppressing pagoda came from the upper realm. Panga's ancestor also came from the upper realm. However, due to some reason, the sect had no choice but to temporarily stay in the mortal universe. Shang Yuhen suddenly realized. The ancient records were correct. The heaven-origin soul-suppressing pagoda really came from the upper realm. However, he didn't expect that the divine artifact was actually created by the sect's ancestor. There's a scar, Jun Changshao said. Do you know why I took you in? I don't know, Shang Yuhen said. Stupid, the system said. Because of money. Jun Changshao raised his head and looked at the endless starry sky in the distance. He said, the heaven's origin soul suppression tower being placed on the Tianyuan continent was the unseen arrangement of our ancestors. And you? He turned around and pointed at Shang Yuhen saying, he is destined to be my disciple. This sentence was not as sonorous and forceful as Zhao Daoda's, nor did it have the kind of soul-shaking roar and exaggeration, but it contained a kind of magic power. Shang Yuhen's body shook, and he was so moved that tears almost flowed out. I understand now. I really understand now. From the beginning of his encounter with the Patriarch in the universe until now, everything was destined. It was his destiny to become a disciple of the sect of all times. Patriarch above. Shang Yuhen bowed deeply once again, then said with a tearful voice, please accept a bow from your disciple. AI. The system shook its head and said, another one has been tricked. Hopefully, he can stay true to his heart and not walk the path of a fool. There's a scar. Jun Changshao walked over and said, the guy who chased after you mentioned the great Shang's treasure. What's going on? He still made his move in the end. The system said. Patriarch, Shang Yuhen said. This is the treasure trove that the ancestors of the great Shang Empire spent their entire lives to create. There are countless martial arts resources hidden inside. Jun Changshao said indifferently, the Dark Demon King lives on evil thoughts. Why would he want to steal your great Shang's treasure trove? Because, Shang Yuhen was a little conflicted. Everyone has their own secrets. If you don't want to say, I won't force you. Jun Changshao turned around and walked towards the control room. Patriarch, Shang Yuhen said, the Dark Demon King is not after the great Shang's treasure trove. He is after a treasure hidden inside. What treasure? I don't know the details. I only know that it is a remnant scroll. Damn, Jun Changshao said in shock. It can't be the 7 profound Sunglow fragment scroll 6 or 7. Pa. Ah. At the lowest level of Tianyuan prison pagoda, whips and screams sounded. Although it was impossible to shorten it from 1,000 years to 60 days, as long as Arya had time, she would focus on training the Dark Demon King. After all, the evil body was more durable than the soul race. Great Aunt. I was wrong. I deserve to die 10,000 times. Don't hit. Pa. Arya. After a while, Jun Changshao walked in and said, don't hit, I have something to ask. Arya put away the soul-suppressing whip and stood in front of her master with her hands on her waist. She stared with her almond-shaped eyes and said, answer whatever I ask. Da, the Dark Demon King said. I will answer whatever you ask. Jun Changshao sat down, crossed his legs and said, since you have already destroyed the Tianyuan continent, why are you still chasing after the prince of the great Shang Empire? Because he has the treasure of the great Shang Empire. The Dark Demon King said. Jun Changshao said, you are a guy who relies on evil thoughts to survive. Do you still need human martial arts resources to improve your cultivation? No need, the Dark Demon King said. I only need a remnant scroll hidden inside. What remnant scroll? Qishuan Sunglow Broken Scroll. How many? 6. Sure enough. Jun Changshao secretly said. Just as I guessed. The Dark Demon King muttered in his heart. How does this guy know how many types of remnant scrolls there are? Is the remnant scroll helpful to you? Jun Changshao said. If it was a martial artist looking for the remnant scroll, it would be understandable. But it was a bit strange that a creature of evil would also look for it. This. Arya raised her whip and said fiercely. Answer honestly. The Dark Demon King was shocked and hurriedly said. I heard that this remnant scroll contains a special profound meaning. If you can comprehend it, you can ascend to the upper realm. Are you sure? Yes. Jun Changshao rested his chin on his hand. The remnant scroll contained a special profound meaning. Comprehending it would allow one to ascend to the upper realm. This was really a huge temptation. Arya. Jun Changshao temporarily gave up on the remnant scroll and said, Is there a way to purify this evil spirit faster? Arya thought for a moment and said, There is. What is it? The first is to use the most yang energy in the mortal world to refine it. I have the body of holy flame. Does it belong to the most yang energy? Master actually has the body of holy flame? Is it strong? If it is on the level of the mortal universe, it can barely be ranked in the top 100 of the most yang energy. Jun Changshao was shocked. In the falling star continent, the body of holy flame was undoubtedly the strongest. In the entire mortal universe, it could only barely be ranked in the top 100. There is a second method. There is. If you can find a martial artist who is proficient in Buddhist techniques, they can also purify this evil spirit faster. Bang! In the inner courtyard of the Sect of all times, Du Nan, who was silently sweeping the floor, suddenly crushed the broom in his hand, faced the camera and said, Ba. After being silent in the Sect for so long, this poor monk finally has a place to use his skills. Go Fugui. Yuan Gongzi suddenly appeared, picked up a pen and paper and wrote, 10 spirit stones will be deducted for destroying a public broom. Chapter 1226. Proficient in Buddhist techniques? Jun Changshao thought for a while and said, There seems to be a Buddhist cultivator in my sect, called, what was his name again? There were too many disciples, so he couldn't remember his name. Du Nan. The system reminded. Yes. Jun Changshao remembered, but he held his chin and said, I still have to go to the Starry Sky Fortress, so I can't return to the sect. After thinking about it, he still chose to give up on the second method. If Du Nan, who already had his spirit stones deducted, knew, he would definitely cry on the spot and faint in the toilet. Arya. Jun Changshao said loudly, I will assist you with the body of holy flame. Let's purify this evil spirit together. Okay. Arya took out all kinds of tools again. Thus, the master and servant that appeared in the camera, one holding the soul-suppressing whip, and the other releasing gorgeous flames, walked toward the Dark Demon King. Who the fuck was the villain? Pa. Ho. Screams resounded in the first layer of the prison, startling the 3 tyrants of Starry Sky, and Dai Lu into cold sweat. Jun Changshao, who had the body of holy flame, could indeed purify the evil spirit. However, his realm was too low, and his physique was not the best in the mortal universe, so the effect was not ideal. After a day of torture, Arya gave a preliminary estimate. Master, if you and I work together, it will take about 500 to 600 years. So long. Jun Changshao collapsed. Arya said, It's mainly because Master's body of holy flame is too weak. If you have a higher physique, the purification should be faster. Jun Changshao's heart was hit hard again. Just when he was in despair, the best salesman system said, Do you want a stronger physique? Do you want to purify the evil spirit? Open the high-level store. There is everything the host wants. Get lost. Jun Changshao said unhappily. After the sect's construction was upgraded by 10 levels, the goods in the high-level store have also been updated. If the host is lucky, he may be able to get the 3 tastes real fire. The system said. It's Samadhi. Jun Changshao corrected him. It's not San Wei. What's the difference? Jun Changshao was defeated by this idiotic system. However, after returning to the outside world, he called Shang Yuhen over and said, "Yuhen, I have something very important to tell you." "Very important?" Shang Yuhen pricked up his ears. Jun Changshao said, "Our sect of all times has an ancestor called the Seven Profound Sage. He once created a supreme martial art called the Seven Profound Sunglow Break." Although Shang Yuhen had never heard of the Seven Profound Holy Master and the Seven Profound Sunglow Break, he could tell from their names that they were definitely extraordinary characters. Thus he exclaimed, "Patriarch, our sect of all times is filled with experts." About that, Jun Changshao said proudly, "Without a doubt. Patriarch, are you going to teach me the Seven Profound Sunglow Break?" Shang Yuhen was a little excited. He had just entered the sect, and he was already given a martial arts manual. He was simply too blessed. "Listen to what I have to say." "Oh!" Jun Changshao began to bluff. After the ancestor, the Seven Profound Holy Master, created the Seven Profound Sunglow Break, he was ambushed by a large group of experts when he was traveling outside. In the end, he had no choice but to imprint the secret manual into 7 fragments, gathering the power of the universe and throwing them into the endless void. Shang Yuhen said in shock, "To be able to control the power of the universe, could the ancestor be a middle void-piercing realm expert?" "No." Jun Changshao pointed to the sky and said, "Senior 7 Profound is in the higher realm." Ah! Shang Yuhen was shocked again. A sect that existed in the mortal world actually had relations with so many higher realm experts. Pangu expressed that he did not know this guy. Niwa expressed that this person was not created by her. 7 Profound Holy Master expressed that forget it, he was already used to it. Wait. Shang Yuhen suddenly thought of something and said, "Patriarch, the fragment you mentioned just now, could it be the fragment that the Dark Demon King is looking for?" "Very smart. This disciple was not stupid," Jun Changshao said. "I am unable to judge at the moment. I need to take it out to verify." Bringing out Panga 3 pure ones and the other legends was just to give Shang Yuhen the feeling that the sect had a deep foundation. Now that he was bragging for the fragment, it was obviously a fraud. This made Gosheng more or less feel guilty and self-reproach. Shang Yuhen was conflicted. Jun Changshao said, "In the end it is your thing. I will not force it." "Patriarch," Shang Yuhen said, "the great Shang treasury built by my ancestor is an independent space. The inside is divided into many areas. Although this disciple has the right to enter, due to limited strength, I can only enter the outermost area and cannot go deeper." Jun Changshao said in shock, "So mysterious? The fragment that Patriarch is talking about should be hidden in other areas. This disciple does not have the ability to take it out." Shang Yuhen said bitterly. Jun Changshao said, "Can I go in?" "You can." Shang Yuhen paused for a moment and said, "However, without the bloodline of the Shang clan, you will face many tests in the great Shang treasury." Come, Jun Changshao said, "Let me see." He did not care about the supreme profoundness contained in the fragment of the 7 Profound Sunglow. He only hoped to find the 6th book as soon as possible, so that he could increase the power of his martial arts. "Patriarch, please relax your mind. This disciple will bring you into the great Shang treasury." "Yes." Jun Changshao closed his eyes. Swoosh. Suddenly, his soul seemed to be pulled by some force and slammed into a flowing light barrier. "Patriarch." A voice sounded in his ears. "This is the great Shang treasury." Jun Changshao opened his eyes and realized that his soul was in a colorful environment. It felt like a dream. Gulp. Suddenly, Gosheng swallowed a mouthful of saliva. That was because there was a huge pit in front of him, filled with treasures of inestimable value. "Patriarch," Shang Yuhen said, "this is the wealth accumulated by the ancestors of the great Shang Empire after dozens of generations." Jun Changshao was about to break down. It turned out that this disciple of mine could carry a huge portable treasure at any time. Gold, silver, and jewelry did not attract Gosheng at all. After all, he treated money like dirt. However, when he looked into the distance, he could not maintain his composure. 100 meters ahead, there were 9 connected pits. There were countless spirit stones piled up inside. Patriarch. Shang Yuhen introduced. These are the spirit stone pits. From left to right, they correspond to grade 1 to grade 9. Jun Changshao almost lost his footing, especially in the pit on the far right, which represented grade 9 spirit stones. Although half of them were gone, there were still at least 20 to 30 million spirit stones. Although the other pits were also missing grade 8 spirit stones, overall each pit was at least 50 million spirit stones. The Great Shang Treasury not only had gold, silver, jewelry and spirit stones, but also high-quality equipment, weapons, secret manuals, and natural treasures. Pa! Jun Changshao patted Shang Yuhen's shoulder and said seriously, I allow you to call me brother. No, you are my brother. Brother Shang. Brother Hen. Brother Yuhen. Chapter 1227. Jun Changshao knew that Shang Yuhen was rich, but he did not expect him to be this rich. Furthermore, he was currently at the outermost region of the Shang dynasty's treasure trove. This was merely the tip of the iceberg. Such a disciple, Jun Changshao thought to himself. No matter how bad his aptitude is, I wouldn't mind even if you gave me a car full of him. Realistic, too realistic. The system was speechless. Patriarch. After walking a few hundred steps, Shang Yuhen stopped in front of a cave abode and said, This is the second region. I have to break through to Wuxia's cultivation level before I can enter. Jun Changshao could already sense that there was some kind of powerful array around the cave abode's stone door. Can I enter? Patriarch, you will be tested if you enter. The ancestral teachings said that outsiders could enter the Shang dynasty's treasure trove. However, there was a requirement of cultivation level and various restrictions. Test. Jun Changshao walked over. However, when he stepped on the stone door, an invisible energy seeped into his body and attacked his consciousness. The system said, This is a soul attack. Jun Changshao hurriedly circulated the Tianjun soul refining art and started to block the powerful energy. If it was just one wave, he could still withstand it. However, just as he dispelled the energy that was attacking his consciousness, the surrounding array seemed to be activated and soul attacks came from all directions. Jun Changshao took another step forward and focused on defending against the various soul attacks. Come on! How joyful! Hum! The flowing light boundary of the formation materialized. An energy that was hard to see with the naked eye crazily rippled. Shang Yuhen, who was standing behind, was surprised. At that moment, he felt like the patriarch was standing in front of the stone door and competing with countless experts. And these experts seemed to be the ancestors who created the Shang dynasty's treasure trove. Thump, thump, thump. At that moment, Jun Changshao retreated from the stone door and spat out a mouthful of blood. Patriarch. Shang Yuhen panicked. I'm fine. Jun Changshao stabilized his body and circulated the Tianjun soul refining art crazily, gradually suppressing the pain from his soul. The system said, This should be an extremely high-level soul array. With the host's current strength, it's impossible to cross it. Jun Changshao was silent. The soul attack was obviously not from one, but a large group. It was difficult for him to fight against so many. Actually, in terms of soul, Gosheng was already very good. However, the formation restrictions in the Great Shang treasure trove had been modified by countless experts and was definitely not a joke. I don't believe it. Jun Changshao's temper immediately flared up. After adjusting his breathing for a short while, he walked over. Bang! This time his body spats, he spats, spits, spat a mouthful of blood. His physical injuries weren't serious, but his soul was in great pain. Thinking of the Dark Demon King being trained by Arya for 10,000 years, that feeling must be very good. Patriarch. Shang Yuhen advised, forget it. Wait until I break through to Wuxiang, then open this area. The ancestors of the Shang Empire had left him a huge golden finger, which stored all kinds of martial artist resources. But he had to reach the corresponding realm to open it. So, this was also the template of a protagonist. Let's try again. Jun Changshao took a deep breath and used a mental cultivation method to adjust his state of mind. Then he took a big stride forward. It's useless. the system said. In terms of level, the soul array was more powerful. No matter if he walked over slowly or violently, he would need to be tortured from the depths of his soul. Shua. Jun Changshao was about to rush to the stone door when he suddenly stopped and raised his fist. Patriarch, don't! Shang Yuhen was shocked. The Shang dynasty's treasure had a complete array system. If he used force to break it, it would only bring about more serious negative effects. Ka. Just as Shang Yuhen turned pale with fright, he suddenly heard the sound of gnawing. He instantly discovered that the sect master's fist was spread open and stopped in front of the enchantment. A small insect was currently devouring the flowing light barrier with big mouthfuls. Swoosh! After a while, the array barrier that seemed to be supported by the souls of countless experts suddenly disappeared. Waves of ancient aura surged out from inside. Shang Yuhen was stunned. The restriction set up by the ancestors was broken just like that? Sigh. Jun Changshao shook his head and said to himself, "Why did I waste so much effort in the beginning? I could have just let Cui Hua do it." The soul array in front of the stone door was bitten open by the space-time worm and lost its defensive function. However, the more far-reaching effect was that the entire array system was completely paralyzed. No matter how many areas there were inside, they could no longer operate normally. Jun Changshao and Shang Yuhen could enter and leave without restrictions. If the ancestors of the Shang dynasty knew that the array that they had spent so much effort to create was broken just like that, they would vomit blood in the underworld. Patriarch, Shang Yuhen said with a pained heart, the array is completely destroyed. There are marks. Jun Changshao said. Your ancestors left behind this treasure and set up the array to encourage you to work hard to become stronger. This was the truth. If anything could be obtained without effort, it would be easy for people to become unmotivated. The reason why the experts of the Shang dynasty left behind the array and limited the realm was to give the juniors a dream to pursue. Then, they could rely on their own efforts to become stronger and obtain everything they wanted. The hope of dozens of generations. Today it was destroyed in the hands of an outsider. Jun Changshao did not feel guilty because of this. Instead, he continued, "You are now my disciple. Sooner or later, you will become an indomitable expert. Therefore, the array system of the Shang dynasty's treasure is no longer necessary." Fuck. The system roared. He still has reason. Patriarch. Shang Yuhen said with a burning gaze, "I understand. After becoming your disciple, the Shang dynasty's treasure is no longer important. You are teachable. The system broke down. I take back what I said earlier. This prince of the Shang dynasty became a fool the moment he entered the sect. Come, let's go in." Jun Changshao took the initiative and brought Shang Yuhen into the cave abode. Because the array system was destroyed, they did not encounter any other tests. It was more comfortable than strolling in his own backyard. There were no piles of spirit stones in the second area. However, there were many martial arts secret manuals and higher-level equipment and weapons with absolute history. Especially on the stone platform in the center of the cave abode, there was a remnant scroll that contained special energy. When Jun Changshao walked over, his eyes lit up. That's right. This was the 7 Mystic Sunglow Break Scroll 6 that he was looking for. The first 5 were bought in the store. The 6th was found in the Shang dynasty's treasure. Finally, he did not have to offend people anymore. There are marks. Jun Changshao said. Can I take this remnant scroll? You want it so shamelessly? The system broke down. 10 million spirit stones to enter the sect. He had not even experienced the benefits, and he had already handed over the 6th remnant scroll. What was this? The system could not stand it anymore. Shang Yuhen said seriously, since this item was created by the ancestors of the sect of all times, the patriarch should be able to take it. The system broke down. This is really a fool. Pa. Jun Changshao patted his shoulder and said, as expected of the disciple who is most fated with me. Xiao. The 6th remnant scroll disappeared into thin air and merged into the spatial ring. Of course, Jun Changshao was a man of principles. After taking the remnant scroll, he left the Shang dynasty's treasure and did not look at the resources in the other areas. This was the personal property left by the ancestors of the Shang dynasty to their disciples. Since he had the sixth remnant scroll, why would he be greedy for anything else? Jun Changshao was not a greedy person. However, as the leader of a sect, he needed to take care of close to 100,000 disciples. Did he not need to spend money on food and sleep? Did he not need to spend money to make them stronger? For the sect, he had been doing his best to earn resources. Even if the readers misunderstood him as shameless, it did not matter. Me, Jun Changshao, everything he did was for the sect and his disciples. Everything he did was worthy of the late sect leader Wang. There's a scar. Jun Changshao spread out his hands and said, "Take these pills and consume them. They can mold your body, soul and other aspects, allowing you to improve from your original level." Yes, Shang Yuhen took the pills and consumed them one by one. When his flesh, blood, meridians and other aspects all improved, he was stunned on the spot. His cultivation was only at the martial king level. After consuming the body-shaping pill and soul-shaping pill, the effect was very limited. He felt that his entire body had sublimated by a lot. As expected, Shang Yuhen thought excitedly, "The patriarch is very powerful." The system thought that he was a fool, but it did not know that it was very clear in its heart. Following this expert who could deal with the Dark Demon King would definitely be a promising future. For this, he did not hesitate to bring the remnant scroll to the Shang dynasty's treasure trove. With effort there would be gains. The pills that the patriarch rewarded him were not in the treasure trove at all. If Shang Yuhen knew that pills such as the body-shaping pill and soul-shaping pill were provided as long as one entered the sect, he would definitely squat at the corner of the boat and cry. "There's a scar." Jun Changshao took out a few copies of the secret manuals and said, "Although there are many martial arts in the treasure trove that you carry with you, they are still lacking compared to the sect's secret manuals. Don't waste time cultivating them in the future." Yes, Shang Yuhen took them and returned to the cabin to study them. The more he studied, the more shocked he became. In the end, he said excitedly, "The sect's secret manuals are easy to understand and do not lose their mysteries. They are much stronger than the martial arts left behind by the ancestors." At that moment, he was filled with hope for his future. He was also eager to take a look at the sect that had so many big shots. "Sect of all times." Su Xiaoma's voice sounded, "Pass the ball." Xiao. Like a cannonball, the happy football dragged a stream of light over, and the strong wind instantly swept up the dust on the ground. "Steal! Steal!" Li Tian and Sima Zhongdao jumped into the air. Their right legs intertwined to form an inescapable net. In the end, just as they touched the ball, they were bounced back by the force, turning into two small stars in the sky. Shua! Su Xiaoma flew up and used his legs to clamp the ball that was shooting over. After landing, he kicked it towards the goal. "Come on!" Yang Yuhua's legs stepped forward, and her hands instantly exploded with the earth attribute, forming a barrier-like defensive wall. Hung like a cannonball, the happy football crashed into the barrier. Because it was still spinning, white smoke billowed out from the friction. "Ah!" Yang Yuhua roared. Not only did she fully activate her defense, her black hair also fluttered. Pung! Suddenly, the barrier collapsed on the spot. Thump thump thump. Yang Yuhua could not hold on any longer. She retreated step by step until she retreated into the goal. When the ball stopped spinning and fell into the goal line, she knelt on the ground and roared, "I didn't catch it again." Sigh. Lu Wansher, who acted as the referee, shook her head and changed the score from 99 to 100. Li Qingyang's face revealed a smile. The martial arts practice field was reinforced by Elder Zhen's layers of formations. Little Mo and the others would not cause too much damage when they kicked the ball, so he could be completely relieved. Too scary. In the distance, the disciples who had just entered the sect felt their scalps go numb. They had already been taught a lesson by the happy football. Now that they saw the core disciples kick the ball, they knew what terror was. In the universe, Shang Yuhen, who did not witness this scene, still had a beautiful vision of the sect. 1 month later, Jun Changshao returned to the route he had taken to the Tianyuan continent, and continued on his way to the spatial fortress. There was only 1 month left for the side mission, which made him very frustrated. Don't wait anymore, the system said. Let's quickly refresh the store. If we fail and get stuck for a few decades, then we'll be screwed. Jun Changshao fell into silence. Ever since he carried the system, he had never failed a side mission. Who knew if there was a punishment system? Not to mention, the system advised, the host does not know the depth of the universal fortress. Even if you can't get the attribute to purify evil spirits, maybe you can get a powerful trump card that can better deal with unknown dangers. You are a genius salesman. Jun Changshao was convinced. He first burned incense and took a bath. Then he opened the store and thought, the contribution points are not much. Hopefully I can get what I want. Ding! Sect contribution points. 3899-010-0000. Before the item was replaced, Gosheng chose to close his eyes. From Pangu to the 3 pure ones to Nuwa, he prayed to all the gods. He only hoped that they could increase his luck as a descendant of China. Good luck. I wish you good luck, the system sang loudly. The host said, I can bear with Gosheng singing. Why is the system singing? How am I supposed to broadcast this? 1, 2, 3. After counting 3 times in his heart, Jun Changshao opened his eyes. Ahaha! Ahahaha! Shang Yuhen, who was comprehending the sect's martial arts in another cabin, heard the patriarch's unrestrained laughter. He was confused. What's going on? Ha ha ha. The laughter got louder and louder. It was as if he wanted to die from laughter. Plop. Jun Changshao, who was sitting on the chair, flipped over and laid on the ground. He used his fist to beat the wooden board to vent his joy. What exactly did he get that made him so happy? It was nothing. It was just a box with the word. Take a look. The system said, I was right. As long as the host is brave enough to refresh, the supreme grade item will be at your fingertips. Jun Changshao did not expect that he would get a supreme grade item while trying his luck. This item had appeared twice in a row. Although he was speechless when he got the everlasting clothing, the life and death secret realm and ninth heaven secret realm were undoubtedly very satisfying. Even if he had to spend more contribution points, he would buy it without hesitation. Jie. The smile on Jun Changshao's face froze. The last time he bought the supreme grade item, he spent 100,000 contribution points. This time, the item in the store would not be cheap. He might not be able to afford it with only 30,000 contribution points. Chapter 12:28. Jun Changshao had mixed feelings about the supreme item. He was happy that it was only refreshed once, but he was worried that it was not cheap. Phew! He took a deep breath and tapped on the item. The price displayed was 50,000 contribution points. So cheap. Jun Changshao was a little confused. The supreme item, that was rewarded for completing the previous mission, required 100,000 contribution points. Why was it cut in half this time? The system said, there are different grades of supreme items. The more expensive it is, the better it will be. Jun Changshao was speechless. The more money he spent, the more he would get. That was too realistic. I still have 30,000 contribution points for the host. Do you want to release them now? Nonsense. Ding! Sect contribution points, 6899-010-0000. Jun Changshao didn't even think twice before buying the supreme item. Then, he fused it into his spatial ring and stood in front of a mysterious box. He silently prayed, Buddha Jade Emperor Guanyin Bodhisattva, please bless us. Pa! His palm touched it and a golden light rippled. Swish! In an instant, Jun Changshao's soul seemed to have gone through thousands of reincarnations and was placed in an illusory space. What is this place? Buzz buzz buzz! Suddenly, Jun Changshao found that strange lines appeared out of nowhere under his feet and then spread in all directions. They instantly formed a pentagonal shape with him in the center. From the outline of the pattern, it seemed to be some kind of sacrificial ceremony. Don't tell me I'm the sacrifice? Swish, swish, swish. While he was thinking, energy balls of different colors appeared out of nowhere in the pentagonal area. Handsome young man. Suddenly, an old voice echoed in the space. Since you have a physique related to the 5 elements, the heavenly spirit formation gathered 5 spirit seeds, corresponding to metal, wood, water, fire, and earth. You can choose any one of them. The speed of the speech was very slow. It made him want to beat someone up. 5 spirit seeds? Only then did Jun Changshao realize that the energy clusters in the 5 regions corresponded to the colors of the 5 elements. Thus he said seriously, only children would choose. I want all 5 of them. You can only choose one. Once you've made your choice, you just have to walk over and fuse with it. Jun Changshao pondered for a moment and walked towards the attribute that resembled a cluster of flames. The Dark Demon King still needed to be refined. Therefore, he needed the fire element that represented the extreme yang. Ta! He stopped in front of the fire attribute. Hoo-hoo! Scorching heat waves came straight at them. Jun Changshao instantly concluded that this attribute was even stronger than the fire seed he controlled. This is the spirit of the fire spirit, the old voice said. One of the best in the mortal universe. Really? Jun Changshao reached out to grab it. However, before he could touch it, the spirit of the fire spirit seemed to have sensed it. It instantly turned into a rope of fire and wrapped around his wrist. The moment the flames came into contact with his skin, he felt as if his soul was being roasted, causing Jun Changshao to scream in agony. Hoo-hoo-hoo! The spirit seeds that existed in the 4 regions disappeared, and the entire space was instantly engulfed in flames. Ah! Ah! The burning sensation filled his entire body and even his soul, causing Jun Changshao, who was standing in the sea of flames, to raise his head and scream. His entire face was about to turn ferocious. When he fused with the body of holy flame, he had experienced similar pain and torture. But this time it was even more terrifying and unforgettable. Half an hour later, the scorching temperature gradually decreased, and Jun Changshao struggled to stand up again. Hoo-hoo! The flames that filled the space suddenly became restless. Jun Changshao didn't feel any pain. Instead, he established an affinity with the scorching flames. Come! He opened his hands. Swish! Swish! The scorching flames seemed to have turned into excited children, rushing to merge into Jun Changshao's body, and then converging at his dantian to form a cyclone. Until all the attributes in the space were absorbed, it actually evolved into a fetus. What a handsome young man! The old voice sounded. The spirit of the fire spirit resides in your body as the initial fetus. As long as you take care of it carefully, it will become stronger and stronger, until it gives birth to a nascent soul. Swish! Jun Changshao's vision turned black, and he suddenly returned to reality. He was silent for a while, and then looked at his dantian. Seeing that it was only the size of a fingernail, he collapsed. What the hell? The system said. Congratulations, host, you are pregnant. Plop! Jun Changshao directly fell to the ground, his eyelids desperately rolling up. The third supreme product didn't give him clothes that could never be worn out, nor did it give him a special secret realm, but it allowed Jun Changshao to choose 1 out of 5 to obtain the spirit of the fire spirit. It was even gathering in his dantian, as if he was pregnant. What kind of bullshit is this? Gosheng was irritable. As a man, it was hard to accept the existence of a fetus in his stomach. The system snappily said, You still have a bunch of spirit nuclei in your dantian. Isn't that the same as a fetus? Why don't I see host so depressed? Pa! Jun Changshao's right hand punched his left palm and said, That makes sense. The depression and irritation suddenly disappeared. The system collapsed. If I knew that one sentence would be able to convince him, I wouldn't have said so much. What changes do I have now? Jun Changshao calmed down and began to look inside his body. He quickly discovered that under the scorching heat just now, his meridians, blood vessels, and other aspects had been greatly improved and were more resilient than before. Shwa! Spreading out his hand, a cluster of scorching flames appeared. This is the spirit of the fire spirit. Jun Changshao shook his head and said, It seems to be only a little stronger than my purple mysterious sacred fire and blue heavenly spirit flame. Please, the system said. It has just been born. Moreover, Those divine-grade fire seeds in your body, unless you increase your realm, don't have any potential to be developed. Can they be compared to the spirit of the fire spirit that has just sprouted? That's true, Jun Changshao said. Try using this fire to purify the Dark Demon King. Tianyuan Prism Pagoda at the lowest level. Jun Changshao and Aria's faces appeared in the camera, revealing a creepy smile. The Dark Demon King who was hung up begged in a trembling voice. Ancestor, great aunt. I was wrong, I was really wrong. Ah! The screams could be heard clearly in the entire 9 levels of the prison. Although the prisoners were already used to it, every time they heard the screams that were close to the wails of ghosts and howls of wolves, they were still scared out of their wits. A few hours later, the Dark Demon King was paralyzed on the ground like mud, his body twitching slightly from time to time. It could be said to be incomparably miserable. These evil spirits that had destroyed several planes and slaughtered hundreds of millions of people, no matter how they were tortured, had only themselves to blame. They deserved to be punished. Wow, Aria said in surprise. What kind of flame did Master summon just now? It purified a lot of the evil energy in that guy's body in such a short time. The spirit of the fire spirit, Jun Changshao said. When the Dark Demon King who was tortured to the point of wanting to die heard this, his slightly opened eyes were suddenly filled with horror, and he said sadly in his heart, I don't have long to live. Chapter 1229. Fire Soul Spirit? Aria said in surprise. That's one of the top fire-type spiritual seeds in the mortal world. Jun Changshao said. You've heard of it too? Of course. Aria pointed at the Dark Demon King and said, the fire soul spirit is the same as this evil spirit. It's a special spiritual seed born in the mortal world. Is that so? Jun Changshao was delighted. Aria said again. No wonder Master could purify it so quickly. The Dark Demon King, who was lying on the ground like a pile of mud, had lost all hope in life. The fire soul spirit was of the same level as it, and it was of the highest yang attribute. It restrained the Dark Demon King to death. Ancestor, great aunt, let me go. The Dark Demon King begged. Ever since it was born in the depths of the universe, it had been imprisoned by the Soul Pagoda. It had finally broken the seal and had been free for a while. Now it had to be imprisoned and purified again. This was unacceptable. Why didn't you release those innocent creatures? Why didn't you release those plains and continents? Jun Changshao leaned over, and the fire soul spirit appeared in his right hand. He said coldly, adults should be responsible for their own mistakes. Whoosh whoosh. The scorching flames rose again, and a new round of purification began. The ancient warship continued to speed toward the starry sky fortress. Jun Changshao and Aria worked together to purify the Dark Demon King. What crime did he commit to be tortured like this? If it were me, I would have died long ago. Hearing those sounds every day, my head is about to explode. The wails and howls of pain rang out every moment in the prison, and the prisoners were so frightened that they could not sleep at night. Brother. In the prison, Zhao Daoda looked away from the direction of the screams and said, the Patriarch has been kind enough to you. Why are you still so stubborn? As the deputy warden of the prison, not only did he have to give the prisoners spiritual guidance every day, he also tried to persuade Dai Lu to turn over a new leaf. Dai Lu remained silent. Zhao Daoda said, compared to the other prisoners, you're living in heaven. Don't say any more. Dai Lu said, I won't compromise. All right. Zhao Daoda got up and left the cell. However, after he walked out, a smile appeared on his face. Dai Lu's tone of rejection was clearly much weaker than before. It seemed that the tactic he had used earlier had achieved initial success. That's right. The effect was not bad. The beliefs and principles that Dai Lu had always adhered to had already been loosened. Every time, he would wonder if the Spirit Spring sect was worth it for him to avenge. AI. After Zhao Daoda left, Dai Lu sighed. Forget it. The destruction of the Spirit Spring sect was brought upon by its own actions. Why should I keep thinking about seeking justice for it? What's more, I'm in prison and my life is in danger. Dai Lu finally let go of the obsession in his heart. Some people would ask, Wasn't there another cousin from Black Eagle Hall killed by Jun Changshao? That kind of relative who had long been out of the 5 servers, or even 8 poles, did not have any feelings at all. Not to mention, no matter how dirty the Spirit Spring sect was, it was still a righteous sect. The Black Eagle Hall that his cousin joined was definitely evil. Dai Lu letting go of his obsession did not mean that he would compromise with the sect of all times. He had thought it through. He would spend the rest of his life in prison. The moment he let go of his obsession, Dai Lu, who was facing the wall, had an aura of seeing through the mortal world. Coupled with his head that had not yet grown hair, he looked like a Buddhist monk. There was no Bodhi tree, nor was there a mirror. Originally there was nothing. Where did dust stir? Comfortable. In the monitoring room, Jun Changshao sat down and drank a mouthful of tea, his face full of smiles. When purifying the dark demon, he found that his control of the fire spirit had become more and more proficient, and even the embryo in his dantian had a slight change. Training that guy requires you to always release the flame. Over time, your proficiency will naturally increase. The system explained. It will take time to reach the Starry Sky Fortress. Jun Changshao said, I can focus all my energy on this. Therefore, he changed the ancient worship to autopilot, and then directly lived in the prison, cooperating with Area to purify the dark demon. The process will not be described. In short, Jun Changshao only needed to use the fire spirit crazily, and it would be of great help to his control of the element and the embryo. Moreover, as the latter continued to grow stronger, the purification speed became faster. Master, at the current level, it will only take 10 years. Master, at the current level, it will only take 5 years. Master, press. Area calculated the time every day, and every day it would be greatly reduced. She said in surprise, Master, your fire spirit is improving too fast. It's all thanks to the evil spirit. Jun Changshao said. He really wanted to thank the dark demon, because without this kind of extremely durable existence, it would be very difficult to make the fire spirit have such earth-shattering changes every day. He expressed his gratitude. Jun Changshao increased the refining speed, and even did it day and night. The main thing was that there were still 10 days before the side mission settlement, and he had to finish this guy in the stipulated time. 9 days, 8 days, 1 day, 20 hours, 2 hours. Enveloped by the exuberant fire spirit, the dark demon screamed in pain. Quick, quick, quick! Jun Changshao crazily increased the temperature, and the veins on his forehead bulged. Chapter 1230. Father. The word was crisp and clear. Arya, who was standing at the side, opened her mouth in an O shape, and her eyes widened. This little boy was Master's son? Oh my God! This was unbelievable. Who was the mother? No. She had never heard of Master having a wife. How did a son suddenly appear? Was this the legendary becoming a father? Although Arya had always been in the Sky Origin soul-suppressing pagoda, she actually knew quite a lot. Jun Changshao was dumbfounded. A little brat suddenly jumped out of the flames and called him father. If his girlfriend heard this, he would not be able to clear his name even if he jumped into the Yellow River. Girlfriend, the host is dreaming. The system ridiculed. Father. The child said, I'm hungry. Bang! Jun Changshao slapped the little guy from the lotus to the ground and roared. I'm still a virgin. How can I have a child? Woo! The child cried. Father, you're so heartless. Arya could not stand it anymore and hurried over to persuade him. Master, even a vicious tiger will not eat its cubs. You must calm down. Jun Changshao's mentality completely exploded. For more than 1,000 years, he had always kept his chastity. Suddenly, a child called him father. Even if he wanted to be a father, he could not be like this. Phew! Suppressing the collapse of his heart, Jun Changshao let go of his hand and said with a serious face, Who are you? I was born from father's body, so I am father's son. The child said, I see. Arya suddenly realized. Master, this should be the spirit of the fire spirit. It has grown from a fetus to a nascent soul. Not only does it have spiritual wisdom, it also has a body. Pfft! Jun Changshao spat out a mouthful of blood. This guy was born from his body. Didn't that mean it had both female and male functions? The system said. No wonder the host has the physique of loneliness. It turns out that the follow-up work of a male and female pairing can be done by yourself. This ridicule was so sharp that Jun Changshao almost spat out blood again. Father! Suddenly another childish voice was heard. Jun Changshao was stunned as if he had been struck by lightning. Then, he turned his head extremely stiffly and saw a 2 or 3-year-old baby boy tied up with a rope in the area that had been purified all along. He looked even cuter than the fire spirit. Master! Arya exclaimed. This is an evil spirit. Not only has it been completely purified into an infant body, it even treats you as its own father. Jun Changshao looked up at the sky and screamed. Soon after, he fell to the ground and fainted. In the process of purifying the great dark demon king, the fire spirit had undergone actual combat and improved by leaps and bounds in the short span of a month. Not only had it successfully killed the great dark demon king, but it had also improved in all aspects. This was definitely killing 2 birds with 1 stone, a double blessing. However, Jun Changshao was not happy because the mission was completed, and he had 2 sons for no reason. Jun Patriarch, although you are handsome and have a successful career, I can't accept the fact that you have 2 children. So, I'm sorry, we're not suitable for each other. Miss, listen to my explanation. Jun Changshao hurriedly chased after the graceful figure that was gradually disappearing, but he couldn't catch up no matter how hard he tried. In the end, he woke up from his dream with his forehead covered in sweat. A dream. So it was a dream. He wiped the sweat from his forehead, and his expression stiffened in the next second. There were 2 children sleeping soundly on the bed. One was sucking on his thumb, and the other had bubbles hanging from his nose. Although the fire spirit's form was similar to a human child, there was a flame mark between its eyebrows. The evil spirit had been purified, and was extremely cute. Through the cabin entrance he looked at the endless darkness. Jun Changshao shed an extremely precious tear and said, This is not the life I want. Munch munch. In the warship's cafeteria, the fire spirit and the evil spirit wolfed down their food, as if they had been hungry for a long time. Shang Yuhen watched the plates slowly stack up and couldn't help but ask in a low voice, Patriarch, your 2 sons can really eat. Pung! Plop! His Highness the Prince fell to the ground, foaming at the mouth. Jun Changshao clenched his fists, spread his legs and stepped on the chair, and said angrily, Remember this, these are only 2 attributes. Remember. The fire spirit was born in the Dantian, and the evil spirit was purified by Go Sheng and signed a contract. Although the 2 of them had human bodies, they were not real humans. They were nothing more than 2 attributes that Jun Changshao controlled. But he couldn't stop them from calling him father. Dad, I'm hungry again. Dad, I still want to eat fried rice. Dad, why are you so unhappy? Dad, do you want me to tell you a dirty joke? The 2 infant spirits were like ghosts that wouldn't go away. Every day, they would pester Jun Changshao, causing him to almost lose his mind. The most devastated thing was, the fire spirit's temper was a bit irritable. He would beat up the evil spirit if he didn't agree with him. Dad, fire child hit me again. Woo woo woo. Enough. I've had enough. Finally one day, Jun Changshao couldn't help but roar out loud. As if realizing that their father was angry, the fire spirit and the evil spirit stood together obediently. The 2 brothers lowered their heads as if they had made a big mistake, and tears of grievance welled up in their eyes. Seeing this, Jun Changshao's heart suddenly ached. The system said, although the fire spirit and the evil spirit are 2 types of heaven and earth attributes, one was born from the host's body, and the other was purified and signed a contract. They are no different from their own flesh and blood. A chopstick can be easily broken. What if it's 2 chopsticks or more chopsticks? In the end, Jun Changshao did not harden his heart to reprimand them. Instead, he planned to teach them a lesson, so he took out 2 chopsticks and folded them up. The atmosphere instantly became awkward. Shua! Jun Changshao took out 2 large iron rods that were comparable to holy rank and handed them over, and said, "Try it, see if you can break 2 chopsticks. Why don't you take out the Sky Tyrant spear and let them break it?" The system complained. "Father." The fire spirit took one, his hands covered in flames, and said proudly, "Do you have to break it? Can't you burn it?" Hoo-hoo! Under the intense and scorching flames, the big iron rod was instantly melted into a slurry. The corner of Jun Changxiao's mouth twitched. "Father." The evil spirit took the big iron rod and said weakly, "Do you have to break it? Can't you corrode it?" Hoo-hoo-hoo! A strange attribute spread out from his palm, instantly corroding the iron rod into nothingness. Plop! Jun Changxiao fainted once again. "I fucking told you that brothers had to be united. If you didn't burn it with fire, then you had to corrode it. What's the difference between this and asking me if my eyes are sore from hacking for 3 days and 3 nights from Nantian Gate to Penglai East Road?" However, what made Goxing feel gratified was that the 2 little fellows seemed to be very powerful. As long as they were nurtured in the future, they would definitely be of great use. The system said, "A spirit body that was only born in the mortal universe is much stronger than a plane's attribute. The host has obtained 2. What is there to be unhappy about?" "That's true." Jun Changxiao began to put down his prejudices and accepted the 2 children with an open heart. Chapter 1231. On the way to the Starry Sky Fortress, Jun Changxiao tried his best to play the role of a full-time father. Not only was he in charge of the 2 children's daily lives, he was also teaching them how to behave. "It's over," the system said. "Even disciples who have already formed their values can be led astray by the host. These 2 children who have just gained intelligence will probably be led astray." Xiaohua Xiaoxia. One day, Jun Changxiao called the 2 little fellows over and said with a deep tone, "Remember, in a world where martial arts are respected, you cannot do bad things, and you cannot be bullied by others." After all, they were in human form, so Goxing gave the 2 spirits names. One was Xiaohua, and the other was Xiaoxia. "Understood, father." Xiaohua and Xiaoxia nodded heavily. Jun Changxiao patted the 2 little heads and said, "Go and play with your big brother Yuhan." Xiaohua and Xiaoxia ran out. Not long after, Shang Yuhan's screams came from the deck, as he was thrown around by the 2 spirits like a ball. Seeing his sons playing so happily, Jun Changxiao's face revealed a fatherly smile. However, soon he became worried. He still had to manage a sect, and he couldn't be a full-time father. How was he going to raise them? "Father." At this moment, Hualing ran over and yawned. "I'm tired from playing, I want to sleep." "You have to ask me even if I want to sleep." Jun Changxiao collapsed. "Then go to sleep." Swish! Suddenly, the fire spirit turned into a ray of red light and instantly merged into his body, turning into a fingernail-sized lotus flower and stored in the dantian. Jun Changxiao was stunned. So this little thing could still return to his body. "Father." Evil spirit ran over, rubbing his eyes that were about to close, and said, "I'm tired too, I want to sleep too." Swish! After saying that, it merged into Jun Changxiao's dantian, taking the form of a petal and stored near the fire spirit. After the 2 spirits entered, Goxing instantly obtained 2 types of strongest attributes. First, he raised his right hand, and flames that could purify everything in the world appeared. Then, he raised his left hand, and evil qi that could corrode everything in the world appeared. "Awesome! Ha ha ha!" Jun Changxiao laughed heartily, as the troubles of the past few days were swept away. The system sighed. First, there were husband and wife fighting together. Then there were brothers who abused their handsomeness. And now there are father and son soldiers going into battle. Jun Changxiao was very worried that he would suddenly have 2 children of spiritual bodies. In the end, they could once again fuse into his dantian, and even provide him with 2 powerful attributes. He immediately felt that his life was incomparably wonderful. His right hand was fire. His left hand was evil. Who in this world can compete with me for glory? Ha ha ha. Jun Changxiao raised his head and laughed again. Don't blame him for being smug. In the mortal universe, it was already very rare for a martial artist to grasp one type of spirit body. Go Sheng had grasped 2 types of spirit bodies. This was absolutely unprecedented. This was especially true for the evil spirits that had been purified by the fire spirit. Not only would they not suffer any backlash, but they could also freely control them and use them on the right path. Just like weapons, attributes did not differentiate between good and evil, because it depended on the user. I feel very strong now. I can't wait to go to the Starry Sky Fortress and wreak havoc. Jun Changshao clenched his fists tightly, his eyes burning with passion. With the 2 children of spiritual bodies in his dantian, he exploded with unprecedented confidence. Host, you should take a look at the Patriarch's exclusive Divine Weapon Modification Stone and Experience Talisman first. The system reminded him. Jun Changshao said, I almost forgot about the reward. Wait, the excess contribution points. Jun Changshao hurriedly opened the system data panel and found that the value on it was exactly 100,000. He immediately held his head and shouted, my 18,990 contribution points. Because of the appearance of the fire spirit and evil spirit, Go Sheng had neglected the side mission reward, so he had already deducted the excess contribution points. Host, just treat it as spending 20,000 to buy 2 types of spirit bodies. The system comforted him. Jun Changshao endured the pain and fused them into his space ring. He took out the experience talisman and crushed it one by one. Pa, pa, pa. After crushing the 20th talisman, a system notification sounded in his ears. Ding! Host has reached the upper limit of Wu Sheng's great perfection. Requirement met. Epic mission activated. Ding! Host has reached the upper limit of Wu Sheng's great perfection. Requirement met. Epic mission activated. Jun Changshao sat down, his face expressionless. It's here. The epic mission had finally arrived. As long as he completed it, he would be able to break through to Martial Emperor. Although Jun Changshao already knew that Martial Emperor was only a lower level in the void-piercing realm, in the Falling Star continent, it was undoubtedly the most supreme existence. As long as I take this step, he clenched his fists and finally became excited, saying, this seat will be equivalent to ascending to the throne, and will be on equal footing with the 9 great martial emperors. Just you wait. Jun Changshao roared. I will definitely take revenge. Revenge my ass. The system said. You have no enmity with him. Sorry. Jun Changshao said. I took the wrong script. Under normal circumstances, as the strongest super existences in the plane, the protagonist would inevitably have conflicts with them on his path of growth. Perhaps there would be a classic line like this child cannot be left alive. However, the little death-courting expert had been wandering around the Falling Star continent for so long, but the 9 great martial emperors had never appeared. Even when Go Sheng was about to reach the peak of the plane's martial arts, he still maintained the sense of mystery that an expert must have. 9 brothers. Stop hiding. If you don't come out, you will become a background wall. Swish. Jun Changshao clicked on the first epic mission. The content was epic mission, 13 mission details. Within 3 years, the host is requested to promote the sect of all times to a first-class sect and obtain the recognition of all the major sects, and even the top powerhouses in the Falling Star continent. Mission failure. Not completed within the specified time, or not recognized by all parties. Mission reward. It's that simple? Jun Changshao's face was stunned. With the current strength of the sect of all times, with Yi Tianqing's approval, it would definitely be a first-class sect. If he had to say that it was a little troublesome, it was probably that the total number of disciples did not meet the requirement. However, if he gave himself 3 years, he would definitely be able to recruit them. A free point. You still need to obtain the recognition of all the sects, the system reminded him. Jun Changshao said, when the sect is promoted to first class, invite all the reputable sect leaders here. I want to see who agrees and who disagrees. The system was speechless. Judging from the host's compromise to marry the Rose Queen in order to complete the side mission, it was not surprising that he would threaten all the big shots. There are also top powerhouses. The system said, strictly speaking, I'm afraid they are referring to the 9 great martial emperors. They are elusive. If the host does not obtain their recognition, I'm afraid it will be difficult to complete the epic mission. Jun Changsha roared. Can you not dampen my enthusiasm? I'm telling the host to recognize reality and not underestimate the epic mission, the system said. Jun Changsha fell silent. Whether it was the number of disciples or the recognition of all the sects, it was a small matter. However, the mission stated that it required top powerhouses. This was a little tricky. After all, no one in the Falling Star continent knew where the 9 great martial emperors were. Sigh. Jun Changsha shook his head and said, this is not a free point. He clicked on another epic mission. Epic mission 14 mission details. The 9 great martial emperors of the Falling Star continent are imprisoned in the 9 levels of hell. Host, please rescue all of them. Mission reward. Fuck. Jun Changsha jumped up and said in shock. The 9 great martial emperors are imprisoned in the 9 levels of prison? The system wanted to find a corner and cry. It took advantage of the moment when the host was feeling proud to give him a timely blow. It was quite happy, but it was immediately slapped in the face by the epic mission 14. Did it have to be so fast? Chapter 1232. After seeing Shirshirsi, Jun Changsha was overjoyed. He was just worrying about the whereabouts of the 9 great martial emperors, and the quest gave him a big spoiler. However, Jun Changsha calmed down and thought, why are the 9 great martial emperors locked in the 9 levels of hell? Did they break the rules set by the Universal Fortress? There are. He asked, what did your ancestor do to be locked in? Shang Yuhen thought for a while and said, I heard from my father that my ancestor forcefully raised his cultivation to the middle void-piercing realm, and was ruled by the Universal Fortress to be against the rules, so he was locked up. Forcefully raised his cultivation? Jun Changsha said, that sounds awesome. Shang Yuhen said, father said that this method is very extreme, either succeed or die trying. So my ancestor thought for a long time before deciding to take the risk, but he was discovered by the Universal Fortress. After understanding the reason why Dashang's ancestor was locked up, Jun Changsha thought, could it be that the 9 great martial emperors also did something similar, and were locked in the 9 levels of hell? There's no point in thinking so much. The system said, once we find the culprit, we'll know everything. That's true. Jun Changsha put aside his thoughts and shrugged. I originally planned to go and investigate, but now that there's an epic quest, I have to go in no matter what. Let's do the math. The system said, Shirshirsi and Shirshirsan are involved. Jun Changsha said seriously, so even if the 9 levels of hell are a dragon's pool or a tiger's den, I have to go in and investigate. Shwa. He waved his hand and grabbed a crystal-clear stone. This was the reward of the side quest, the Patriarch's exclusive divine weapon modification stone. The previous rewards were all used to modify disciples, but today I finally got a tool that can modify my divine weapon. Jun Changsha said emotionally. Here came the problem. Li Qingyang, Xiao Ziji and the others' divine weapon modifications were all handled by Master Fan. And now that Go Sheng was in the endless universe, what should he do? Do it yourself, and you'll have ample food and clothing. Jun Changsha raised his right palm, and a scorching flame immediately appeared. Although the spirit of the fire soul was sleeping in his dantian, he could still freely control this kind of flame that was born in the mortal universe. Furthermore, it was much stronger than the sacred flame body. Using it to refine any, or would be extremely easy. Hoo-hoo. After 2 hours of smelting, the modification stone gradually turned into liquid. Shwa. Jun Changsha waved his hand and retrieved the finger of empire. He thought to himself, sinful selves and constellations' exclusive divine weapons have been changed to normal. I hope that my divine weapon won't be a joke. ZZZ. As he spoke, the modification stone turned into a solution and poured into the divine weapon. Then white smoke billowed. A short while later, the liquid completely solidified. The finger of mountains and rivers seemed to be covered with a layer of hard armor. Pa! After a while, the hard outer skin cracked and fell off on a large scale. Whoosh! Whoosh! 7 colored rays of light shot out from within. When the outer skin fell off and the light gradually weakened, a large brush with complicated patterns was suspended in the air, exuding an elegant aura. Jun Changshao held his head and broke down. Why did it change into a brush? Do you want me to use this to write calligraphy? Whoosh! At this moment, a stream of light suddenly flew out from the brush and entered between his eyebrows to instill memories. So that's how it is. After Jun Changshao flipped through the obtained memories, there was a flash of understanding in his eyes. Then, with a wave of one hand, he grabbed the brush and started to write in the void. Whoosh! 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 With a lift and a pause, the brush moved like a dragon. Shwa! 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 Jun Changshao used a mysterious footwork to fly up. The brush seemed to be alive as it continued to write in the void. It could be said that the brush was as strong as wind and thunder, and it was as if it was made of iron. Ta! After a while, it dissipated and fell to the ground. The camera cut to the left of Jun Changshao and saw a few sonorous and powerful words appear in the void. It was "I'm the most handsome in the universe." Pui! The system mimicked spitting. Jun Changshao placed the brush behind him like a calligraphy master and said indifferently, "Explode." Bang! 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 The 5 words engraved in the space suddenly exploded, because he was inside the space ring and had deliberately suppressed most of the power. The scene that appeared was not very explosive. Not bad, not bad. A smile appeared on Jun Changshao's face. This kind of exclusive divine armament that gathered a strong explosive force was much more reliable than the previous one that was full of injuries. Moreover, there was still a new killing move that had not been used. From today onwards, Jun Changshao said, "This exclusive divine armament of mine is called Ji, Pen, Jiang, Mountain." The system broke down and said, "What's the difference between this and Jiang Shan? The host really doesn't have any talent in naming." Author, take after me. The Patriarch's exclusive divine armament had been successfully remodeled, and the former Jiang Shan and Jiang Shan had become a thing of the past. Jun Changshao needed actual combat to know how strong Jiang Shan was. However, from the test just now, he could roughly deduce that it should be much stronger than stabbing the butt. More importantly, he no longer had to bear the charge of being wretched. He had changed to a refined fighting style, which would definitely give the readers a new good impression of him. Starry Sky Fortress. Standing at the bow of the ship, Jun Changshao proudly said, "This sovereign's fire and evil twin spirits, as well as the remodeled divine armament, all need you to measure their power." Just as Gosheng was trying to act cool, the ancient warship suddenly came to a sudden stop. His entire body crashed into the light barrier that separated them from the outside world with a bang, and his face slid down the barrier. "Sigh," the system said. Receiving the host's face attack head-on, the defensive barrier has been exhausted. Patriarch. Shang Yuhen covered his face and ran out of the lounge saying, "What's going on?" Jun Changshao awkwardly stood up. The left side of his face had been slashed red, and then angrily looked into the distance. In the universe's starry sky, a starry sky warship was quietly floating. From the trajectory that it had yet to dissipate, it was obvious that it had suddenly made a big turn and blocked his path. "Son of a bitch." Jun Changshao covered his face and cursed. "If you don't follow the rules, your loved ones will cry. Don't you understand this principle?" Ta. On the warship, a middle-aged man with a stubble walked out, wearing heavy leather boots and short-sleeved leather armor. Shwa. His white cloak fluttered, and there was a rustling sound. He raised his muscular arms and hugged them together, saying with a black face, "Brat, who are you scolding?" This person's body was very strong, and he emitted a powerful aura. Especially the clothes he was wearing, it was like an admiral of the Navy headquarters. Jun Changshao immediately became serious. At this moment, he had already used his spiritual sense to capture the word Starry Sky Fortress written on the cloak. Patriarch. Shang Yuhen transmitted. "This is one of the 12 patrolmen of the Starry Sky Fortress." Chapter 1233. As an organization, the Universal Fortress had a detailed division of duties. Guanzhou, and the old man who went to the falling star continent were scouts, responsible for gathering information. As for the general who was killed by Jun Changshao, his position was relatively higher, but he was only used as a vanguard. There was a very important position in the fortress, the 12 patrol envoys. Not only were they patrolling the mortal universe, but they were also in charge of capturing criminals when necessary. There were 12 patrol envoys, and they liked to be alone. Especially with their strange clothes, they were easily recognized. Shang Yuhen had not only heard of this position, but he also knew that his ancestor was captured by 2 patrol envoys. Are they very strong? Jun Changshao asked. Shang Yuhen said with a serious expression, I heard that only those who have reached the middle level of the void-piercing realm are qualified to become patrol envoys. Damn. Jun Changshao opened his eyes wide. Reaching the middle level in the mortal universe was equivalent to having the qualifications to ascend to the higher realm. This kind of big shot was actually willing to be a patrol guard. The sandbag is here. The system said, Host, you can play to your heart's content. Jun Changshao's mouth twitched. The Dark Demon King was also at the middle level. If not for the Heaven Origin soul-suppressing pagoda, he definitely would not have been able to defeat him. Now that he was facing a powerful patrol guard, he felt a little guilty. Furthermore, there were 11 of such level. There is something in the Universal Fortress. Jun Changshao said to himself, I really have to be careful. Because of the fire and evil twin spirits, and the modified god weapon, after seeing a patrol guard of the Universal Fortress, he immediately restrained himself. Develop wretchedly, don't be reckless. Friend. Jun Changshao cupped his hands and said, suddenly stopping a car in the middle of the road, it is easy to cause an accident. His tone was relatively more polite. This was not because he was afraid, but because he wanted to preserve his strength and wait until they reached the Universal Fortress before causing a ruckus. The middle-aged man did not care about being scolded. Instead, he said indifferently, Kid, you know that an accident will happen, so you should slow down before entering the Universal Fortress. So it was not because he was looking for trouble, but because Go Sheng was traveling too fast, so he suddenly stopped him. Have we reached the Starry Sky Fortress? Jun Changshao was startled. He then took out the star map and confirmed his coordinates. He apologized. I was driving too fast and didn't pay attention. He really didn't know that they were already within range of their destination. However, taking out the map and his subsequent expression were all in act. He pretended that he had been careless. The patrol envoy said faintly, Remember, fast ships are prohibited in the area under the jurisdiction of the Starry Sky Fortress. If you do it again, you will be punished. Okay, Jun Changshao said. The system said, This is the first time I've seen the host cower. You know nothing. Jun Changshao cursed in his heart. I'm just enduring the humiliation and sneaking into the Starry Sky Fortress first. If it was just an ordinary organization, it wouldn't be a problem for them to kill their way in. However, the Starry Sky Fortress was not an ordinary organization. If they were to clash head-on with that guy, it might lead to a series of subsequent problems. Furthermore, based on the current situation, the other party did not seem to know that he was the one who had taken care of the 2 tyrants of Starry Sky. Otherwise, they would have already started fighting. This was an extremely good opportunity. Before they confirmed his identity, he could investigate the overall strength of the Starry Sky Fortress, and then rescue the 9 great martial emperors. If the conditions allowed, he could release all the prisoners of the 9 levels of hell, and make them busy. Jun Changshao didn't cower. He just wanted to make the most perfect plan in the shortest time possible. The patrol envoy drove the warship to open a path and said faintly, Go ahead. Thank you. Jun Changshao cupped his hands and drove the ancient warship to fly over. Only when he was far away from the other party did he sigh helplessly. He really wanted to fight with a middle-level void-piercing realm cultivator to test his current battle strength. However, since he had reached the territory of the Starry Sky Fortress, to avoid any mistakes, he could only forcefully suppress this thought. It's still more important to investigate and save people. Jun Changshao, who was standing on the bow of the ship, suddenly lost his shameless temperament. That's right. The way you opened the reading software was correct. Gosheng now gave people an unprecedented sense of steadiness. It was a complete change in style. The system said, "This is a patriarch who cares about the big picture." Stop the ship. Suddenly, a shout came from behind him. The patrol envoy drove the warship and chased after him. Jun Changshao stopped and said with a puzzled expression, "I don't think I exceeded the speed limit?" "Kid," the patrol envoy said in a low voice, "since you have the Starry Sky map, it means that you are a second-class resident of the Starry Sky Fortress. I need to check your identity." The Starry Sky map that Jun Changshao took out just now wasn't the one that was widely circulated. It was a special version of the Starry Sky Fortress. Not only did it have the coordinates of most planes, as long as one's spiritual sense was integrated into it, they would be able to locate themselves. It was a high-tech product of the martial arts world. "It's broken." Jun Changshao thought to himself, "I forgot about this." The Starry Sky map was obtained from the 5 tyrants of the Starry Sky. At that time, he even heard the white-haired old man say that only second-class residents could have it. However, because he was in a hurry to pretend to be confused, he didn't think of it. Even 100 secrets can be overlooked. "Take it out," the patrol envoy shouted again. He, who had been patrolling outside all year round, had seen many martial artists who tried to sneak into the fortress with fake Starry Sky maps. Moreover, there was a rule on it that once the item was found, it would be confiscated and the person would be arrested. Jun Changshao furrowed his brows slightly. The tense and exciting background music started to play, and the atmosphere became tense. "All right." Jun Changshao shrugged and waved his hand, throwing out an item. "Pa." The patrol envoy raised his hand and caught it. It was a token with the words second-class identity engraved on it. There were strange patterns around it, and the workmanship was very exquisite. Shang Yuhen was surprised and thought to himself, "So the patriarch is a second-class resident of the fortress." The Starry Sky Fortress would recruit residents every year at a fixed time. The conditions were not only money, but also manpower. Both were indispensable. Therefore, it was very difficult to become a third-class resident, let alone a second-class resident. The 5 tyrants of the Starry Sky first spent a lot of resources to become third-class residents. Then, they used their connections to get in through the back door to become second-class residents. The whole process could be written in a book. Jun Changshao had neglected the Starry Sky map's special version. Naturally, he wouldn't neglect his identity. Therefore, when he came, he borrowed the tyrant's resident token. He wasn't borrowing. He was openly robbing. He even forced the white-haired old man to forcefully remove the soul imprint. He was so bad that he had ulcers on his head and pus on his feet. After confirming the authenticity of the token, the patrolling envoy threw it over and said lightly, "Since you are a fortress resident, you should remember the rules. If I catch you speeding next time, you will be punished severely. Because I had to return to the fortress, I forgot the rules. I won't do it again." Jun Changshao smiled and said. After he left, the smile on his face disappeared. His eyes flashed with a strong anger. "Damn it! When have I ever been treated like this? If it wasn't for the big picture, I would have fought with him to the end." The system said, "What's the difference between the host and those minor villains if you talk tough after the event?" As someone who suffered from a terminal illness, it could be said that its power was increasing day by day. It didn't give the readers who liked to complain a bit of a chance. "I will leave for Beijing tomorrow, and will be back in 3 to 5 days. Female fans in Beijing, I am coming." Chapter 1234. It was rare that Jun Changshao cared about the big picture, and didn't arrogantly clash with the patrolman. This was the right thing to do, because while traveling at a low speed, he saw many ships coming from different directions. It seemed like they were going to the interstellar fortress as well. Good thing I managed to hold myself back. Jun Changshao thought. If I fought with that guy, it would definitely alert a lot of people. Then the fortress would be alerted, and I wouldn't be able to sneak in. Still not strong enough. I'm still not strong enough. Gosheng was very annoyed. The system said, It hasn't even been 10 years since the host transmigrated, and you've already broken through to Martial Emperor from the lowest level. What else is there to be dissatisfied with? Jun Changshao calmed down and thought about it, then said, "That's true. If this was heard by the old monsters who only barely touched the threshold of Wuxia after thousands of years, they would definitely rush up and slap him." On the road, there were more and more ships coming from different directions. It was like they were going to a market. Jun Changshao kept his spiritual sight on. He quickly noticed that the warriors on each ship were wearing different clothes. There were even some that looked like humans and beasts. The interstellar fortress's 9 layers of hell was terrifying. But the underground black market was also the holy land that all the warriors of this world yearned for. So it attracted many people at every moment, hoping to find some treasures. Although there were quite a few ships, everyone knew the rules and didn't try to overtake them. After all, this was under the fortress's jurisdiction. Unless they ate a bear's heart or leopard's guts, no one would dare to violate the rules. Strange. Jun Changshao looked around, then said, "Why do so many people need to disguise themselves?" There were quite a few warriors on the ships at the front. About half of them were in disguise. But because their methods were inferior, they were immediately seen through. Patriarch. Shang Yuhen explained. The fortress's underground black market sells large amounts of weapons and equipment. Some worlds will send warriors here to buy them. So they need to disguise themselves to avoid being discovered by their enemies. So that means, Jun Changshao said, this is also an underground armory. Tsk tisk. Rubbing his chin, he said. To expand their business to the entire mortal universe, the interstellar fortress has quite the business mind. He was envious. If he could expand his business to the mortal universe and earn money from the various major planes, it would definitely be super awesome. Currently, his business with second young Master Tang had spread all over the Falling Star continent. However, he was only making money for himself. When would he be able to earn foreign exchange? Jun Changshao didn't know much about business, so he didn't think too much about it. Instead, he thought that since he had a conflict with the Starry Sky Fortress, why not change his identity first? Just do what you want to do. Go Sheng returned to his cabin and put on an exquisite face-changing mask. Then, he put on a brand new blue robe, fastened his belt, and tied his headscarf. He gently opened his paper fan and instantly transformed into a graceful scholar. Standing at the bow of the ship, Go Sheng looked at the area of meteorites in the distance and recited aloud. Flying down 3,000 feet, I suspect it's the Milky Way falling from the 9th heaven. The system was speechless. How elegant. Where is the Starry Sky Fortress? Jun Changshao did not look at the map, because as long as he followed the warship in front, he would be able to find it. True enough, after traveling for about half a day, it was like the end of the endless darkness, gradually showing the shape of a building. As they got closer, it was like a huge castle standing in the void. Patriarch. Shang Yuhen transmitted his voice. This is the Starry Sky Fortress. It doesn't seem to be as big as the Heavenly Mandate Royal City. The scene changed, and Jun Changshao took back what he just said. Because when they were only 100 feet away from the fortress, he and the warship were like ants in front of it. Oh my god! Shang Yuhen was shocked. This is too big. The Starry Sky Fortress was really big. It was not an exaggeration to say that it was a small plane. In particular, the surface of the castle was plated with a layer of black metal ore, which looked very sturdy and durable. It would be very interesting if it exploded inside. Jun Changshao thought to himself. The system was speechless. The host's thinking is getting more and more dangerous and extreme. There was an entrance similar to the city gate in the west of the Starry Sky Fortress, but it was now closed. Many warships were docked nearby, carrying warriors who seemed to be anxiously waiting for it to open. It was just an ordinary entrance. Warriors who came to the underground black market to purchase goods had to enter through this entrance. There was also a city gate in the south, north, and east, respectively, for third-class, second-class, and first-class warriors to enter. Jun Changshao could have entered from the north gate. But after all, the main purpose of this trip was to the underground black market, So he steered the warship and waited at the west gate. Eldest brother. On the ship next to him, a man said solemnly, "This time, we came to the Starry Sky Fortress on the orders of the Patriarch. We must buy the goods that the clan needs." Yes. The eldest brother nodded seriously. On the warships docked nearby, warriors from various planes were also fighting to discuss. Jun Changshao lay on the seat and closed his eyes to rest. He also hoped to buy the herbs to refine the half-step Wu Sheng elixir in the underground black market, and then mass-produce it for the disciples. Of course, he still had to enter the 9 levels of hell and find the 9 super tragedies. Just from the outside, the Starry Sky Fortress is no different from an iron fortress. The prison system used to imprison prisoners must be even stronger. How am I supposed to sneak in? Jun Changshao thought to himself. At first, he wanted to let Cui Hua bite through it, but that would easily alert the Starry Sky Fortress, making it very difficult for him to sneak in. Getting in is actually very simple. The system said, as long as the host commits a crime in the Starry Sky Fortress, won't it be fine? It's not impossible to sneak in as a prisoner. Jun Changshao thought to himself. But first, I have to buy the herbs to refine the elixir and have a comprehensive understanding of the Starry Sky Fortress. Creak. While he was thinking, the tightly shut west gate suddenly opened. Dozens of armored soldiers walked out, and the leading general said in a clear voice, "To enter the Starry Sky Fortress, you must pay the required 10,000 spirit stones." Damn! Jun Changshao cursed in his mind. You need to pay to enter the fortress, how immoral. The system. This guy seemed to have forgotten the scene of martial artists from the Starry Sky continent entering the Starry Sky Fortress and shamelessly asking for money. What's more, they even sold their school uniforms at a ridiculously high price. It was only right and proper for him to take money, but it was immoral for others to take money. As the host, I shouldn't be called Go Sheng but Go Biao. The dozens of soldiers standing at the entrance, just from their auras alone, were not inferior to Wu Sheng at the consummate level, especially the leading general, who was also at the lower level of the void-piercing realm. If even the gatekeepers were so powerful, the Starry Sky Fortress was too strong. Sigh. Jun Changshao put the warship into his spatial ring, then landed at the city gate, and paid the 10,000 spirit stones according to the order of the crowd. However, before he walked in, he looked back and saw that there were at least 10,000 people in the queue. He immediately said enviously, "If my Starry Sky continent also had an underground black market of such a scale, just the entrance fee alone would be the rhythm of making money." Idiot! Seeing that he had suddenly stopped, the 5 burly men who were following behind him said grumpily, "Hurry up and fucking leave. Who are you calling an idiot? The idiot is calling you an idiot." Alright then. The burly man was stunned for a moment before he reacted. He was about to raise his fist and punch when he saw the soldiers on both sides staring at him. So he suppressed his anger and glared at Jun Changshao, who was walking in front. Despicable fellow. I will remember you in my heart. Jun Changshao, who was walking in front, thought to himself, so there are people with bad tempers in this kind of place. Once I buy the materials, won't I be able to enter with a little trick? All the major figures would pale at the mention of the 9 levels prison, but Go Sheng wanted to cause trouble and enter. He was really a despicable person. The tunnel in front of the Starry Sky Fortress was very long, which meant that the exterior defense was very strong, and it would be very difficult to attack. After walking for about 100 steps, Jun Changshao stood inside the brightly lit fortress. After traveling in the dark universe for so long, he hadn't seen light for a long time, although the color seemed to be man-made. Wow! Shang Yuhen exclaimed. At this moment, the two of them were standing on the street at the entrance of the city. Rows upon rows of magnificent and huge buildings appeared in their vision. The most flashy thing was that there was a light barrier that could be seen with the naked eye, which transformed into the blue sky and white clouds. Buzz! Buzz! An ancient bell rang from afar, which added a bit of solemnity to this castle-like city. On the wide and huge streets, there was an endless stream of humans and beasts wearing all kinds of clothes. They were all living in harmony, and it was simply a peaceful time. Jun Changshao had experienced many storms before. He might be surprised at the magnificence of the starry sky fortress, but his face remained indifferent and maintained the steadiness that he had after a huge change. Perhaps it was because he acted like a coward in front of the patrol envoy, which made him start to treat everything with the identity of a patriarch. It was just unknown how long he could maintain it. The Starry Sky Fortress had the same layout as the city gate, which had 4 divisions. The North City was the worst, and the East City was the best. Patriarch. On the way to find an inn, Shang Yuhen didn't understand and asked, "You have a second-class identity. Why don't you go to the second-class district?" "Low profile," Jun Changshao said. "This is my usual style." "I see." Shang Yuhen was so impressed that he wanted to prostrate himself. He obviously had a superior identity, but he wanted to stay in the lowest level district. This kind of transcendence made Shang Yuhen so impressed that he wanted to prostrate himself. "Patriarch, you have no identity in the North City. I heard that just the cost of staying in an inn is very expensive. It doesn't matter." Jun Changshao didn't care at all. He then found a decent inn and came to the counter and said, "Shopkeeper, give me 2 of the best rooms." The chubby shopkeeper looked at the 2 of them and said indifferently, "One of the best rooms will cost 50,000 low-grade spirit stones." After running an inn for so many years, he could immediately tell what kind of person and what brand they were wearing. Therefore, his attitude would change accordingly. 50,000? Jun Changshao blurted out. "So expensive, you are robbing me." Even a super luxurious presidential suite would only cost about 1,000 taels of silver in the Falling Star continent. Here it actually costs 50,000 spirit stones. Although it was the lowest level, even if the guest room and bathroom were made of pure gold, it shouldn't be so expensive. Jun Changshao's voice was relatively loud, which alarmed the martial artists who came in one after another. They all looked at him with disdain. Who didn't have enough money in their pockets when they came to the Starry Sky Fortress? There was actually someone who complained that the room was expensive. The next second, all the martial artists retracted their disdainful looks, because Shang Yuhen casually put a lot of high-grade spirit stones on the counter and asked indifferently, "Is it enough?" "Master." The shopkeeper hurriedly smiled and said, "Please go upstairs, please go upstairs." Just as he was about to take the money, Jun Changshao stopped him and said, "I still like your arrogant look just now." "Me." He took back half of the high-grade spirit stones and said, "I only want 1 room now." This was obviously a scam. Instead of giving him 50,000 spirit stones, he might as well squeeze in with the disciples. Creak. The door of the superior room was pushed open. After Shang Yuhen came in, he exclaimed, "Oh my god, this is too luxurious." Jun Changshao's mouth twitched. He was wrong. The superior room wasn't made of pure gold. It was made of even rarer ores. Even the floor under his feet was priceless. Inhumane. No wonder it was so expensive. But, Shang Yuhen walked into the bedroom and frowned. "It's just that the bed is a bit small." "There is a mark," Jun Changshao said seriously. "I know you are rich, but when you are outside, you must be thrifty. You must not spend extravagantly." "Yes," Shang Yuhen said. Jun Changshao patted his shoulder and ordered, "You sleep on the chair. I will sleep on the bed." Ah, Shang Yuhen was depressed. As for the spirit stones that he took out, they had already landed in Jun Changshao's pocket. He was definitely not cheating his disciple of his money. He was just keeping it safe for him. He would return it when he got rid of his bad habit of spending. The fact that the sect leader had gone to this extent was truly touching. Jun Changshao and Shang Yuhen were temporarily staying in the inn. However, when they went down to eat, they met the grumpy old man again. Jun Changshao found a seat and was about to sit down. The other party was like a mountain in front of him. His face was fierce. "Excuse me, are you blind? Don't you know how to go around?" Jun Changshao was silent. He went around from the side. "This brat is so bad. When he came to book the room, he thought it was expensive. I can tell he is a poor and weak rookie. Why would he come here?" The diners in the dining hall on the first floor were all discussing in low voices. They looked at Jun Changshao with disdain. It was undeniable that the Starry Sky Fortress forbade fighting in the city. However, as a man, he did not even have the courage to speak back when someone deliberately provoked him. This was too bad. Shang Yuhen, who had just sat down, could not stand it anymore. He stood up and was about to argue with the grumpy old man. However, he was stopped by Jun Changshao, who was pouring tea. Remember, the Sect of all times' first motto is to keep a low profile when you are outside. What? The grumpy old man glared at him. You don't agree? Shang Yuhen clenched his fists but still sat down. Jun Changshao took a sip of tea. He released his spiritual senses and quickly found the way to the underground black market. After eating, he said, "Come, let's go out for a walk." Brat. The grumpy old man, who was sitting far away, deliberately took a step forward and said coldly, "Watch where you are going. Don't bump into me." His meaning was obvious. He wanted Go Sheng to go around. Many people looked over with interest. This was the second time someone provoked him. Anyone with a bit of courage would not be able to hold it in. However, they were greatly disappointed because Jun Changshao led Shang Yuhen around the corner and walked out of the inn. Too cowardly. There is no one else who can cultivate martial arts to this extent. The grumpy old man retracted his foot proudly and shouted at the door. Brat, remember, next time you see me, you have to take a detour. Damn it. Shang Yuhen was about to explode. Jun Changshao comforted him. Don't lower yourself to the same level as trash. The system was confused. Is this still the host? His personality has changed greatly. 2-in-1. Chapter 1235. Under normal circumstances, the underground black market was not allowed to exist in the open. It could only exist in the dark. However, the black market of the Starry Sky Fortress was really underground. The scale was not small. Jun Changshao walked down the tunnel and strolled for a while in a black market that resembled a shopping mall. He almost got lost. Patriarch, Shang Yuhen asked, "What are we doing?" He wanted to come to the Starry Sky Fortress at first, but the Dark Demon King was destroyed by the Patriarch, so there was no need for him. Of course, it was not that he had forgotten about his ancestors. It was that there was no need to spend a lot of money to get him out of the 9 levels of hell. After all, he would be locked up again. Buying herbs, Jun Changshao said, because there were many precious treasures in the black market. There were many restrictions to prevent others from peeping, so he could only search step by step. Hard work paid off. After wandering around for half an hour, he finally arrived at the area that mainly sold treasures. There were all kinds of herbs in the shops. Little friend. A herb shopkeeper smiled and said, "What herbs do you need?" The underground black market was opened by the Starry Sky Fortress, but the shops inside were contracted by other planes. Therefore, it was not as snobbish as the shopkeeper of the inn, who always adhered to the principle that the customer was God. Jun Changshao looked carefully and found that there was nothing he needed. Therefore, he wrote down the list of herbs and pictures and handed it over, saying, "Do you have these?" "Yes, but," the shopkeeper said, "there is not much stock." Jun Changshao did not think much of it and said, "Take out as much as you have, I want them all." This tone made the shopkeeper realize that he had met a big customer. Therefore, he hurriedly walked out from the counter and bowed, saying, "Little friend, please wait in the VIP lounge." Okay. Jun Changshao brought Shang Yuhen over. Just as they sat down, 2 beautiful ladies came forward to pour tea. They had a customer-first smile on their faces. Go Sheng was not interested in women. As the prince of the great Shang Empire, Shang Yuhen naturally did not care. After drinking tea for half an hour, a middle-aged man with a decent appearance came over with the shopkeeper. He cupped his hands and said, "I am the manager of Hongyan Medicinal Hall. May I know your name, young friend?" Handsome June, the corner of the medicine deacon's mouth twitched. Good name. Good name. Are the herbs ready? Jun Changshao had done business with the AI family in the past, so he had plenty of experience. Thus, he didn't like to waste time and hoped to complete the transaction as soon as possible so that he could move on to the next one. It wasn't easy for him to find a place that sold the ingredients for refining the half-sage pill. If he could afford it, he would buy them all. He wouldn't leave a single one for anyone else. The system said. The height of this economic condition depends on the depth of the 9 spirit stone pits in the Shang dynasty's treasury. Will you die if you don't complain? Yes, right away. The deacon was also an experienced businessman, and he could tell that this customer was in a hurry. Hence he said, Your humble servant has already instructed my subordinates to arrange the herbs that young Master Jun needs, and they will be sent over very soon. Yes. Jun Changshao nodded. The deacon took the opportunity to take the initiative to talk, and even indirectly asked where Gosheng came from. The list of materials he took out were all high-grade goods, and he asked for all of them. This was definitely a rich customer. If it happened to be close to his own plane, it would be convenient for him to do business in the future. I'm from the Valoran continent, Jun Changshao said. Gosheng wasn't someone who would casually sell his home address. He wasn't worried about being sent blades, but if he caused a ruckus in the fortress, wouldn't it be the same as tricking the Starfall continent? Valoran continent? From the deacon's confused eyes, it was obvious that he had never heard of this plane. Jun Changshao said, My plane is made up of Dalmatia, Noxus, and other countries. Every region has a resident hero, who is then controlled by a profession called the Summoner. They fight in the Summoner's Canyon. Every year, they also organize a war of the gods. The winner takes the throne, and the loser takes the blame and retires. The system said, You really know how to brag. I see. The deacon was curious. Young Master Jun is also a summoner? Jun Changshao said proudly. Not only am I a summoner, but I also control 2 natal heroes. One is the Gale Sword hero, the other is the Master of Shadow Stream. These are the 2 most difficult heroes to control. Only I can use them to their fullest potential. People have given me the nickname Shill Rope, Child's Calamity. Since he had nothing to do, Gosheng started bragging. The deacon really believed him and asked, Young Master Jun, where is the Valoran continent? North of the starry sky. My king is the most beautiful. Didn't north of the starry sky refer to the north of the universe? As for the last sentence, could it be some kind of code? After a wild imagination, the deacon thought to himself, Since I know the approximate location, I should be able to find the place. I'll go take a look when I have time. Maybe I can establish trade with the Valoran continent. Time always passed quickly when he was bragging. Jun Changshao didn't even turn around to take out his sword. Once the phantom blade was activated, he couldn't see the amazing maneuvers. After he finished speaking, the herb workers put down the space rings one by one. Young Master Jun. The deacon smiled and said, The herbs you need are all here. As he spoke, he handed over a list and said, The quantity is also written here. Jun Changshao looked at it and suddenly felt a little excited. Elixirs required 50 types of herbs. Not only did this pharmacy have all of them, but they could also make 100 sets. If he met the requirements of the realm, he could make a bunch of half-step wusheng in minutes. Awesome. Jun Changshao suppressed his excitement and said, How much? The deacon said, According to the market price, these high-quality herbs cost 1,200,000 ninth-stage spirit stones. But since young Master Jun wants to buy them all, we'll round it up to 200,000? Jun Changshao said. The deacon almost fell over. Rounding it up to the first digit. 1 million. Okay. Jun Changshao said. It's a deal. The deacon was a little stunned. After signing the contract, holding the space rings full of ninth-stage spirit stones, and watching Jun Changshao leave, he slowly came back to his senses and said with emotion, It's the first time I've done such a good business with a customer. 1 million ninth-stage spirit stones in exchange for 100 half-step saint elixirs. The average price was 10,000 per pill. This was acceptable to Jun Changshao. After all, in terms of normal cultivation resources, 10,000 ninth-stage spirit stones might not be enough to cultivate a half-step wusheng. Next, Gosheng went to other herb shops and bought all the herbs he needed. A large number of ninth-stage spirit stones flowed away like water. The barrier above was dark. Jun Changshao returned to the inn. After visiting all the herb shops, he had a total of 1,000 sets of half-step saint elixirs. He was in a very good mood. Patriarch, Shang Yuhen said. Why don't you let me pay? Your money, Jun Changshao said seriously. How can I use it? You are my patriarch. You are my family. Please don't treat me as an outsider, Shang Yuhen said. Jun Changshao patted him on the shoulder and said, I'm very happy that you think so. Speaking of this, his eyes suddenly became cold. Because in front of the inn, the grumpy old man was leaning against the door with a smile on his face. Patriarch, Shang Yuhen also noticed and hurriedly said, This guy must be deliberately blocking the door and not letting us in. Go and have some tea. Jun Changshao pointed to a tea house next to him, and his eyes gradually became cold. No matter what happens outside, don't come out. Patriarch, I'm not thirsty. Go. Shang Yuhen closed his mouth and then obediently walked to the inn, but he was puzzled. Why doesn't Patriarch let me out? Boom, however, just as he walked into the tea house, and before he could sit down, there was a sudden explosion outside. A ripple visible to the naked eye instantly spread out and shattered the tea table and teapot around. Shang Yuhen turned his head stiffly and saw the inn through the window. Every inch of his face gradually stiffened after he opened his mouth, and his eyeballs slowly protruded from their sockets. Chapter 1236. At the entrance of the inn, dust was flying everywhere, and spiritual energy was everywhere. Shang Yuhen was shocked and dumbfounded. In his field of vision, the patriarch had his back to him, and was still attacking. The anger and spirit energy that filled his body made him look like a demon that had gone berserk. In an instant, Shang Yuhen realized that the patriarch had made his move. The spiritual energy ripples just now had shattered all the tea tables and teacups in the tea house. It must be because of this. Whoosh whoosh, a cold wind blew, and the dust was blown away. Shang Yuhen's big eyes were wide open again. The entrance of the inn was in a collapsed state, and the walls inside were full of holes, which even penetrated through many shops and buildings. The end of his spiritual sense was the city wall of the North City. Although it was built very hard, it was already in a sunken state, and the cracks were densely packed like a spider web. Gulp! Shang Yuhen swallowed a mouthful of saliva and said in his heart, Something happened, something big happened. What do you mean? Because the irascible brother, who had provoked the patriarch many times, was now sunken into the city wall, with a huge hole in his chest. He was half dead. From the situation on the scene, and the patriarch's punch, Shang Yuhen immediately guessed that it was him who did it. If it was in the void of the universe, fighting or killing was not a big problem. But this was the space fortress, and it was forbidden for martial artists to fight in private. Shang Yuhen wanted to rush out. However, the patriarch's previous warning rang in his ears. I understand now. The patriarch had long planned to make his move, which was why he told him not to come out no matter what happened outside. Back to when Shang Yuhen had just entered the tea house, Jun Changshao came to the entrance of the inn. The irascible brother held his hands together and said proudly, Brat, you seem to have forgotten what I said just now. What did you say? Jun Changshao lowered his head and said, There was no emotion in his eyes. If Li Qingyang, Xiao Ziji, and other disciples were here and saw the patriarch like this, they could instantly guess that it was a sign that he was about to go berserk. Brother, you are unlucky. Bro irascible obviously didn't realize it. He said coldly, As long as you see me, you have to avoid me like a grandson. He pointed to the side and said, You can go in from the back door now. Because before entering the city, Jun Changshao had stopped for a moment and delayed him for a little while. Thus, Jun Changshao bore a grudge against him. It had to be said that Jun Changshao was really petty. Oh, Go Sheng responded and set off. He didn't take a detour, but instead continued forward. Brother Irascible was a little surprised. Could it be that I didn't make myself clear enough, or did he not hear me? So he chose to go through the front door. Brat you! Who? Just as the irascible bro opened his mouth, Jun Changshao, who had walked in front of him, suddenly raised his head. His eyes flashed with a monstrous rage that made the irascible bro's hair stand on end. Then he threw a punch over. acting like a grandson. It was just to buy the materials first. Now that I've bought everything, if you still dare to provoke me, then you're courting death. Jun Changshao had never flaunted himself as a good person. As long as someone provoked him, as long as he was angered, he wouldn't care if it was the heavens or the earth. Boom, one punch. Just one punch. Brother Irascible's cultivation was not bad, but he didn't expect the other party to be so strong and dare to attack in the fortress. So he was punched in the chest. The punch passed through layers of buildings at the entrance and sank into the city wall. This man is back, the system said. This was the host. This was the one who dared to go against the upper realm and use his face to face the upper realm's thunder calamity. After getting rid of Brother Irascible, who had repeatedly targeted him, Jun Changshao stood in the same place, his face still expressionless. However, the martial artists who gathered around were stunned. This seemingly elegant young man actually ignored the rules of the fortress, dared to attack him openly, and even killed him. This was definitely an unforgivable crime, especially the diners who had previously questioned Jun Changshao. Some of them had witnessed the scene just now, and all of them widened their eyes. Oh my God, this guy wasn't a coward. When he was ruthless, he was completely a rash person who was not afraid of anything. Because of the explosion of the spiritual energy ripples, it spread across half of the North City district, instantly attracting a large number of martial artists' spiritual senses. When they saw the destroyed buildings and saw Jun Changshao standing proudly, their eyes were filled with disbelief. He's finished. Daring to kill in the fortress, this is definitely a serious crime. The enforcers in the city will definitely be here soon. Hearing the crowd's discussion, Jun Changxiao's lips curled into a smile. Torturing Brother Irascible was to be convicted. Swoosh, swoosh. After a short while, armored soldiers rushed over from both sides of the street and quickly surrounded Jun Changshao. They pulled out their weapons from their waists and raised them as if they were guns, shouting, "Don't move!" Goshen cooperated and raised his hand, then turned around. An enforcer general in charge of the North City's security shouted angrily, "Attacking in the fortress is tantamount to trampling on the rules. Handcuff him." Yes, dozens of soldiers surrounded him. Ka. Sturdy iron chains were locked on Jun Changxiao's wrists like handcuffs. And he didn't resist at all, which confused the passers-by. He was so arrogant just a moment ago. Why did he suddenly become weak? Patriarch Shang Yuhen, who was standing at the entrance of the tea house, saw that the patriarch was chained up. He wanted to rush over, but when he recalled his previous warning, he could only suppress that thought. "Take him away," the enforcer general shouted. Ka. Jun Changshao was like a criminal, being taken away in front of the crowd, especially the arrogant smile on his face before he left, which made the martial artists dumbfounded. The Starry Sky Fortress is built on the 9 levels of hell. This guy will be locked up as long as he commits a crime, but he can still smile. One look and I can tell that he is a ruthless person. I know the guy who was sent flying. He is from the Iron Eagle continent. He has a bad temper and a violent personality. Now that he is in such a state, his martial arts realm will probably stop here. The crowd was still discussing, but when the enforcers in the city started to clean up the destroyed environment, they dispersed and went back to their own business. What should I do? Shang Yuhen stood in place with a face of despair. Although the patriarch didn't let him out, as his disciple, how could he watch him go to jail? Patriarch. Shang Yuhen clenched his fist and said, "I will go find someone to reduce your crime to the lowest." Creak. In the dark prison, Jun Changshao walked in with the bracelet and anklet. This wasn't a prison, but a temporary detention center. The Starry Sky Fortress would send an adjudicator to judge. As long as the crime was judged, the adjudicator would consider whether or not to be locked up in the 9 levels of hell. Jun Changshao was locked up for 2 hours before 2 soldiers brought him out and sent to the adjudicator room. In the room, there was a middle-aged man who looked very cultured. He sat in front of a table with a brush and ink on it. He said, "You acted without permission in the Starry Sky Fortress and severely injured a martial artist. Do you plead guilty?" "Plead guilty," Jun Changshao said. The middle-aged man was stunned. He had adjudicated and interrogated many criminals, but this was the first time he saw someone so honest. Chapter 1237. The two epic missions were related to the 9 great martial emperors, so Jun Changshao had to sneak into the 9 levels of hell. Therefore, his confession was very straightforward. It felt like, "Big brother, I beg you, hurry up and send me to jail." The judge was stunned. After being on duty for so long, he had encountered many troublemakers. When he was in charge of interrogating them, he would either deny it or find all kinds of excuses. Yet this person admitted it so easily. He did not follow the normal procedure at all. He praised, "Seeing that you have a good attitude, I will consider the punishment you will have to bear. Resistance will be severe, confession will be lenient." This was the kind of person who had a very proper attitude when admitting his guilt. Adjudicators liked it the most because they didn't need to waste too much time talking, and they could call it a day. Jun Changzhao's face was full of question marks. Oh no. Would I be less guilty if I acted too cooperative? Go Sheng's expression became interesting. If he knew this would happen, he would have imitated the innkeeper and acted arrogant. It's still not too late. Jun Changshao hurriedly wanted to show his wild and arrogant side, but he heard the judge say, "According to my investigation, that Iron Eagle Continent warrior has provoked you several times." Although the Starry Sky Fortress dealt with cases, they would still investigate immediately. Therefore, they knew the cause and effect of Jun Changxiao's actions. When you returned to the inn, you were blocked by him. Although you are guilty, you could not stand being provoked, so... The judge picked up a pen and wrote on the case. "I announce that you will be imprisoned in the penitence room for 7 days. No, wait. Jun Changxiao was about to speak when a few soldiers held him up. Damn it. I have to be imprisoned in the 9 levels of hell. How can I be imprisoned in the penitence room? No, absolutely not. Jun Changxiao was about to explode in anger and add to his crimes when an old man walked in and said, "Sir, there is a cultivator called Shang Yuhen outside. He wishes to see you." Shang Yuhen? Why is he here? Just as Go Sheng was dumbfounded, Shang Yuhen was led in by the soldiers. He first glanced at the patriarch, then politely saluted the judge. "Greetings, Lord Ji." "What is it?" Judge Ji asked. Shang Yuhen said, "Ransom him." "Who?" "Ransom my patriarch." Shang Yuhen pointed at Jun Changxiao as he spoke. Upon hearing these words, Go Sheng almost spat out a mouthful of blood. "I'm trying my best to find a way to go to prison, but you've taken the initiative to come and redeem yourself. What a pig disciple." AI. The system side. The host's plan to go to jail has been completely ruined. First, there was someone who pleaded guilty with an excellent attitude and received a lighter sentence. Now, there was a disciple who spent money to build connections. It would be very difficult for him to go to jail. Go Sheng felt bitter in his heart, but Go Sheng did not say anything. "Lord Ji." Shang Yuhen walked forward and placed a spatial ring on the table. He smiled and said, "Please make an exception." Very social. Jun Changxiao almost broke free from the soldier's restraint and kicked him to Mars. Impudent. Suddenly, Judge Ji stood up and slammed the table. He said angrily, "Ever since I took office, I have always done things according to the rules. I have never bent the law for personal gain. You giving me money is trampling on my dignity." AI. The old man standing behind shook his head. He had clearly told that fellow not to look for Lord Ji, but he did not listen. In the end, he still angered him. Judge Ji was a very honest person. He was extremely resistant to using connections to get in through the back door. In particular, he had repeatedly suggested to the fortress master to cancel the ransom rule. After all, those who were imprisoned in hell were all evil people. If they did evil during their bail period, it would only bring disaster to all living beings. No wonder when Shang Yuhen mentioned ransom, he would be displeased. When he put down the spatial ring, he could no longer hold it in and exploded on the spot. Shang Yuhen was a little stunned. "Pa." Judge Ji slammed the table and announced, "The fortress has a rule. Anyone who bribes an official will be heavily punished. Lock them both up in the same level of hell." "Yes." Ka ka ka. The soldiers walked over and handcuffed the stunned Shang Yuhen. Then they took him and Jun Changshao away. Patriarch, I didn't do it on purpose. Don't speak. Shang Yuhen did not speak. The system also remained silent. Because it had just been slapped in the face again. Not far from the judgment room, there was an entrance that led underground. Jun Changshao and Shang Yuhen were brought in like prisoners. They walked down the tunnel for about 100 meters and stopped in front of a stone door made of special materials. Change into prison clothes. Open the door. Ka 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 ka. The heavy stone door slowly opened. Jun Changshao and Shang Yuhen, who had changed into zebra-striped prison clothes, gradually appeared in front of the camera. One was trying hard to hold back his laughter. One was frowning. Ka ka ka. The two were sent in. The stone door closed again. The surroundings instantly turned dark. Xiao. A light similar to a willow. The wisp flew past, and the words level of hell appeared. Patriarch. Shang Yuhen blamed himself. I have let you down. Ha ha ha. Ha 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 ha. Jun Changshao finally could not hold it in anymore and laughed boldly. He had thought that this new disciple would be a useless teammate, but because of the bribery, he had suddenly turned into a gold medal support. There's a scar. Jun Changshao put his hand on his shoulder and praised. It's all thanks to you that I was able to get locked up in hell as I wished. Shang Yuhen was stunned. As he wished. Locked up in hell. Did the patriarch have a special hobby of being locked up? Clap. Jun Changshao clapped his hands together and looked at the dark environment. The corner of his mouth curled up into a unique patriarch smile. 9 levels of hell. Your emperor has entered. Clap. Suddenly, light flashed in 4 directions, instantly expelling the darkness and making it abnormally bright. Shang Yuhen instinctively closed his eyes until he got used to it and opened them again. His expression immediately stiffened. In his field of vision, prisoners in prison clothes surrounded him. There were at least a few thousand of them. Some of them tilted their heads, some clenched their fists, and had evil smiles on their faces. Patriarch. Shang Yuhen subconsciously took a step closer. These prisoners that suddenly appeared, in terms of cultivation level, were obviously stronger than him. Hey! A prisoner on the left with a single eye patch looked at Jun Changshao and Shang Yuhen with his nostrils and said proudly, Did you ask about the rules of the 9 levels of hell before coming in? What rules? Jun Changshao asked. Although there were a lot of prisoners surrounding them, their overall strength was only at Wu Huang, or half-sage level. He did not take them seriously at all. The man with the eye patch grinned and said, The 9 levels of hell are the same as the plane. They respect martial arts. As long as you are strong enough, you are the boss. If you are weak, you are the grandson. Chapter 1238. After the fortress convicted the martial artists and locked them in hell, they were left alone. Therefore, unless the space here was smaller and there was no light all day long, it was no different from the outside world. It was even crueler than that, because the prisoners who came and wanted to gain status and respect from their cellmates, they had to be strong. As for the weak, they could only be grandchildren. At this moment, Jun Changshao and Shang Yuhen were surrounded by their cellmates as soon as they were locked in. There were 9 levels in the 9 levels of hell. Each level had its own system, and each level had its own welcoming ceremony. No one who came in was exempt from it. Jun Changshao glanced at the prisoners who were gradually approaching and said with a smile, Then do you think I'm a grandpa or a grandson? Grandpa or grandson? The eye patch man touched his nose and said, We will only know when we welcome you. Brothers, treat the 2 of you well. Whoosh whoosh. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. In an instant, thousands of prisoners unleashed their cultivation and rushed over like brothers. Pa! The lights in all 4 directions were turned off. 1 level of hell fell into darkness again, and the gloomy aura erupted again. Boom! Boom! Spiritual energy and martial arts flashed, bringing a short period of light. About 10 minutes later, there was no sound or movement in the prison. The gloomy aura was even more creepy. Swish! Suddenly a wisp of flame appeared. Jun Changshiao's face appeared. And then he lit the cigar in his mouth, raised his head and blew out a smoke ring. Because the black robe on his head had been taken off, coupled with the faintly discernible flame, his entire head could be said to be shiny. Pa! At this moment, the lights were turned on again, and the prison was bright. Shang Yuhen stood in his original position with a blank expression on his face. Then, he raised his head stiffly, and looked at Jun Changshao, who was higher up. Why was he higher up? Because the thousands of prisoners who attacked just now were all bruised and battered together. Jun Changshao sat at the top and smoked. His pretentious aura was unprecedentedly strong. He closed his eyes and sang. How lonely it is to be invincible. How empty it is to be invincible. Alone at the top. Pooh! Pooh! The prisoners, who were piled together like building blocks, seemed to have suffered heavy injuries to their internal organs once again. They all spat out blood on the spot. Other people needed money to sing, but Go Sheng's singing was life-threatening. She who hides in the horizon, can she not listen to me, my loneliness, my endless loneliness? Pooh! Just as Jun Changshao dragged out the word lonely, Shang Yuhen, who was standing below, could not help but spit out blood. Even those who were not injured could hear the internal injuries. It could be seen that although Go Sheng was extremely handsome, he did not have any talent in singing. He was destined to be an actor, and not a trainee. After he finished singing, Jun Changshao still raised his head and closed his eyes, completely immersed in the feeling of being invincible and lonely. Ah, patriarch! Shang Yuhen suppressed the boiling blood in his body and stopped him. Stop singing. If you continue singing, this disciple might die. The prisoners who were piled up together and bleeding from their 7 orifices agreed wholeheartedly. All right. Jun Changshao gave up the idea of relaxing his heart, and grabbed the eye-masked man lying next to him. Who's the master and who's the grandson? You're the master, I'm the grandson. Shua. Jun Changshao directly threw him down, then jumped up and sat directly on his back. He crossed his legs and put his hands together. From now on, I'm the boss of this level of hell. Who agrees and who disagrees? Yes, I agree. The eye-masked man who was pressed down was the first to speak. He had been squatting here for a long time, and had welcomed nearly 70% of the prisoners. Although he had encountered powerful masters and suffered losses, today was the first time he had encountered someone so powerful. Thousands of people had been taken care of in such a short period of time. I agree. I agree. The prisoners all expressed their opinions. The new prisoner was powerful, and his singing was super good. Only a fool would oppose him. This was the 9th level of hell. This was what it meant to be respected with strength. When Jun Changshao showed his absolute strength, and beat up the prisoners who welcomed him, they immediately approved of him. In the outside world, some people might not only not approve, but also hold a grudge and seek revenge from the older generation. Seeing the prisoners give in, Shang Yuhen wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and said in admiration, Patriarch is simply too powerful. Because his ancestor was trapped in the 9th level of hell, he had some understanding of this place. To be able to conquer all the prisoners, and even a level of hell, it definitely represented strength. Ka-ka-ka. Ka-ka-ka-ka-ka. At this moment, the sound of chains came from a place where the light could not reach. Shang Yuhen turned his head and looked, and a look of horror appeared in his eyes. In the darkness, a person with disheveled hair walked over barefooted. His hands were naturally hanging down, and the long chain dragged on the ground. His prison uniform was different from the others, and the 2 words main offender were very conspicuous on the chest. Jun Changshao frowned. Although the prisoner who suddenly appeared was dirty and sloppy, and although his appearance could not be seen clearly, the aura around him was obviously at the lower level of the void-piercing realm. Expert. Expert. Patriarch. Shang Yuhen transmitted. This is the main offender of a level of hell. Main offender? Jun Changshao had never heard of it. Shang Yuhen hurriedly explained. Every level of the 9th level of hell imprisons the main offender, and they are all unpardonable evildoers. If they are released casually, it will bring disaster to the mortal world. Kikik. Suddenly, the main offender stopped, and pushed his disheveled hair aside. revealing a pair of extremely empty eyes, and said with a hoarse voice, "Young man, what is unpardonable evildoer?" Shang Yuhen was dumbfounded. He had just communicated with the patriarch using the sound transmission technique. Could it be that he could hear it? Kikik. The main offender laughed strangely. "Young man, do you know that there is a divine beast called Di Ting in the Yama continent?" Di Ting. Shang Yuhen suddenly remembered that there was a divine beast called Di Ting in the Yama continent, and it could recognize all things in the world by listening, especially the heart. Could it be he was Di Ting? Jun Changshao had also heard of Di Ting, and it was from the journey to the west, but he did not expect that there would be such a thing in a different martial arts universe. "I have cultivated for tens of thousands of years to reach my current strength, and because I accidentally heard something that I should not have heard, I was locked in a level of hell by the Starry Sky Fortress. May I ask, what is this unpardonable evildoer?" The main offender's face was ferocious, and it was obvious that he was extremely angry. "And you?" He pointed at Jun Changshao, and almost roared. "I can roughly hear the heart of any living being in the mortal world, but why can't I hear yours?" Jun Changshao's expression was a bit interesting. "What does it have to do with me if you can't hear me? Why are you so angry?" "Maybe," Jun Changshao said with a melancholy look, "I am too handsome, you can't penetrate my heart." You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.